Is your mic, if somebody's mic, check your call.
Here we go, 365 Sports on this Friday afternoon, and we will dissect what the Big Ten is discussing with the 2014 playoff. Reaction from Trinidad Chambliss getting that extra year. And we'll have Amanda Kristovich from Front Office Sports on the show. And a chance to visit with Baylor transfer quarterback DJ Lagway. We'll have that today, too. Paul Catalina wearing his kind of a Valentine's red.
It is the only red shirt that I have, and I thought I would since I now have to celebrate Valentine's Day as a married man. So I'm celebrating Valentine's Day. It is a new leaf for me, guys. I have decided to stop hating things unnecessarily. The only thing I will continue to hate seemingly unnecessarily is parades. That I will never let go. But I'm on Halloween, Valentine's Day, holidays, Arbor Day, Flag Day. You give me a holiday, I love it now.
Yeah, I miss old Paul. That hated all things. And I don't know why parades are still something that's in your way. I mean, did you get like trampled by a parade horse when you were a child or something? I don't get it.
I was always made to like be in parades when I was a kid, and I never liked them. I also think that we've overdone parades. I feel that the acceptable parades are Mardi Gras, Moon Landing, War Victory, Sports Championship, possibly Rose Parade. I just don't want them. Like, it's a fine parade as parades go.
They're going to tell you what to do.
I just don't like that parade has controlled so much of the college football postseason for so long. But out of that, like, I just don't see the point of them, and most of them are dumb, and I don't like to go.
Yeah, you have never liked them, ever. Yeah. All right, so the Big Ten circulating an internal document, this today from Ross Dellinger, among others who cover college sports, that lays out what a 2014 college football playoff would look like, including the elimination of conference championship games, a 23+1 selection model, and an additional weekend of what would be playoff games on campus. Anything that would be more playoff games on campus makes me at least pique my interest.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't solve a lot of the problems. So 23+1 means there's one spot for the group of six. That's not going to go over well. Two, the first weekend of opening games is basically the same weekend or one weekend earlier than it is now, but doesn't push anything up like we need to. Still ending in mid-January, which is a problem. And it would be number 13 versus number 16, number 14, number 15 on the second weekend of December around the Army-Navy game. So one would be early, Army-Navy in the middle of the day like it usually is, and then the primetime game would, I guess, be the better of those two with the bigger teams in it. And so you've got all of that going on. And that's just in the 16-team format, which would – in the 24, it makes it even bigger. None of it sounds to me like something that we need. I think 12 is good. I know that we're going to have to put up with 16, but this is, and I saw Pat Crakes, who we've had on the show many, many times, say this, that right now getting live eyeballs on things has never been harder. And the best way to do that is with live sports. And with the popularity that college football has right now, the only way the Power Four can guarantee that they can increase their television revenue is by expanding the playoff to 16 or 24. So they're going to strike while the iron is hot, so to speak. I just don't like this because it doesn't solve the calendar problem they have. It actually probably makes it worse.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things to unpack from this. The Big Ten obviously is just incessant about expanding this thing. And I think the reason as to why is not for the betterment of college sports, even though you see a lot of mouthpieces in the media saying, well, this is what's best for the sport as a whole. And there's a lot of people that are saying the opposite as well. I just think that we are seeing at least a little bit in the case of a Patrick Crakes, the TV perspective, not this is the good for the game perspective from a fan sitting there looking at this. So I'm more of a fan, less of a TV executive. So that's all well and good that college football's got a great amount of inventory that they can further utilize. And as he points out, they're in a really good spot where They have a lot of live sports, and besides the NFL, college football is like the hottest property out there that can continue to fully maximize. I think the NBA, you've seen them having so many, like, let's do an in-season tournament. Let's change the courts. They're desperately trying to find ways to keep themselves interesting. I don't think college football has that problem just yet. So I think there is a lot of room for more upward growth, but everybody seems to, in those rooms, point to, but the only way to do it is to expand the playoff. And it's like, that's like the result they all come back to. Even if it's Sankey who disagrees with Petiti, his idea is still to expand the playoff even further. So everything comes back to expanding the playoff, and how it affects the regular season. I guess we'll deal with that as we go. I do think this waters down the regular season a bit further. I mean, after all, my God, you're talking about a 24-team playoff. That's double the field that you have right now that we've had for all of one season at this point, or is it 2 seasons now? Two seasons, yeah, at this point that we've had the 12-team playoff. So you're doubling the field and having nearly the entire top 25 make the postseason. So I don't know that I love that. I think that that's the death of bowl games, basically, unless all of these first-round games, but they're going to be on campus, so how are they going to be the Holiday Bowl? How are you going to be the whatever bowl? We've seen multiple bowls die off this offseason already.
2 this week alone.
And so I guess that's probably going to continue, especially if we go down this pathway. But, yeah, I mean, the people in charge want a bigger playoff because that's what the TV networks want. This is who's driving is the TV networks. And when I talk about the media mouthpiece earlier, I saw somebody say, well, just to be clear, like, this is what Fox wants. But the Big Ten wants this too. And I'm like, I'm sure they do to some extent, but I don't think the Big 12 or the Big Ten's probably pressing that hard for money or access given, the fact they won the last 3 national titles. So I feel like this is definitely more the TV networks driving this, even if a conference like the Big Ten's on board with it. But, yeah, 24 teams, 23 plus 1, top 23 ranked teams, and 1 group of 6. So if you're a group of 6 program, bigger playoff, we're going to have the ability to get a couple teams in there. No, you won't. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe you could as far as the rankings go, but as far as guaranteed access, you've got 1 out of 24, so your percentage has gone even further down than it already was. Top 8 get buys. I don't like the buys. Like, the whole idea about 16 that intrigued me was the fact you would get rid of the buys. I don't like that now there's going to be 8 teams that don't play at all, and other teams are playing an extra game and you're having another week off. Like, I don't like the buys. I would like to just get rid of those across the board. I do love the 8 on-campus games. I think that would be really cool. But, again, if you're the team getting the bye, is Ohio State ever going to host a freaking playoff game?
Yeah.
Like, are they ever going to do that? I guess second-round games will be when they do that. So that's their fix-around for that would be the 8 home games for the top seeds in the second round. So I kind of answered my own question there. But, yeah, 8 on-campus games for 9 through 24 in the first round, 8 home games for top seeds in the second round, quarterfinals at the bowl sites on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and then semifinals the following week, title game practically in February, but in mid-January at this point, and that just seems like it's going to go further and further back. So those are kind of the highlights, the top 8 buys, 8 on-campus first round, 8 home games, top seeds second round, quarterfinals, bowl, New Year's Eve and Day, semifinals, following week, break, title mid-January. That's the most basic breakdown I can give you. But, yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. It's just a lot of teams. It's not more access for certain people. I don't like the buys. And I don't think we need the entire top 25 playing for the postseason.
Here's one 8-4 team that's like, well, we're better than James Madison.
Here's the issue. The NFL has 32 teams, and how many make the playoffs? Is it 12?
Yeah, I think it's 12 now. Yeah,
but there's no argument. There is no, that's a prettier looking team
because they only have 1. Yeah,
everybody earns it based on wins and losses, divisions, and wild card. College football can never get to that point. So what is already kind of a mess, and you don't really know, now you're going to add even more to that. Now, more teams doesn't mean less controversy.
Well, and here's what the TV networks in expanding this, or what the leagues don't understand. Okay, so part of the problem with your early round ratings problems, or the fact that they're not as high rated, is you're waiting for the best teams to play for weeks. If March Madness started, which it will, a little more than a month from now, and I told you that you're not going to see Arizona play for the first 2 weeks of the tournament, would that make March Madness better or worse?
No, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it lose its opening week luster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So part of the luster is those teams play early, and it's right to it. The problem with college football right now is the month of December is a wash. It's a total wash. And so they need to reclaim that real estate, and throwing 2 games on a weekend where they weren't playing and then still keeping the rest of the schedule doesn't solve that problem, especially when it goes to 24 games, and those games will be even more meaningless than the ones when they're 16.
Here's our good friend, and I always like to look at how some others look at it, and we might be stuck in our own mind, but Zach Barnett said, if they win it to the format that they have released, Iowa went 0-4 against ranked teams in the regular season. Now, they were pretty good, but they would have made the postseason. Michigan did not beat a team that was above 500 all year. They did beat Nebraska, who ended up 7-6. Houston lost 35-11 at home. Its only game all season against a year-end top 25 would have made it. Good for Willie Fritz. Georgia Tech was 1-3 down the stretch, and Vanderbilt finished 7th in the SEC. And they would have, in this particular setup, made the postseason.
So Michigan did or did not beat a
No,
team?
that's right. No, they beat Nebraska. So that would have been one team that ended up the season above 500.
Yeah, I think I don't want to make like too much out of this because it's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, and it's not like it's changing today. They're going to continue to have conversations, and let's not pretend like this is the first proposal the Big Ten's thrown out there. This is what, version 5 or 6 now at this point that they've thrown out over the last year and a half as they're continually just trying to drive this expansion. So they have their cake, they're eating it too, and they're wanting more. And I guess when you're taking so much of the pie and winning 3 straight titles, you have a lot more sway in what you're throwing out there than maybe you did a year or two ago. I think it's still an idea that just puts far too much emphasis on access rather than it really making sense and being the best for the competition of the game. And so now, yeah, it just seems like this all boils down to giving people this belief they have a chance to as many people as possible to just keep everybody engaged. And I know you could say this about the 12 team. You could say this about any version of this. But I do think if you're still dealing with the top 10, you do have a number of teams that are qualified and earned their way there. I think when, you have a team who's like beating one top 25 team, they're in the playoff. Like, so you talk about people throwing good games off their schedule. Throw all the good games off the schedule that you want to now because, what's the motivation to have any good games if you're going to allow teams that lose like 2 down the stretch or 3 of their last 4, but they're number 24 in the country, they're making the playoff. Like that's the part where it's just kind of a bridge too far for me as far as liking this concept. I don't like all of the buys. I just think it's too many teams, but we'll see what the negotiations between the SEC and the Big Ten look like. We'll see what Sankey's response is to this. I'm not opposed to continuing to tweak it. I do think they're relying very heavily on the playoff to kind of take away from all of the other headlines. It's like, all right, once you fix the playoff to your liking, then what are you going to focus on? Because you've basically been doing this now for the last 4 or 5 years. Is every offseason it's, all right, the playoff, how are we going to change the playoff this year? Meanwhile, nothing else gets done that needs to get done that is far more freaking important. And I know that a lot of that is out of their hands, but still, it's just you can't keep dangling the playoff carrot every offseason and then going, well, we'll just keep expanding it. Like there comes a certain point where you turn into the NBA where your regular season means nothing and you're just doing gimmicks to try to keep any level of interest because there's no level of interest.
Yeah, the NBA right now is having to find teams for obviously tanking.
Yeah, did you see that?
They're not even the teams weren't even trying to hide it anymore. And Adam Silver said, guys, give me some theatrics if you're going to do this. I get this is the best draft class ever, but pretend like you're trying. And if you have a team that knows that they can shut it down the stretch and get healthy, then it's going to be because they know they're not going to be past 22. If you're Georgia, your 2 best players get hurt and your quarterback gets hurt, you've got 2 games left. One you can win with your backup, one that might be a toss-up, but it doesn't matter because you get in the playoff anyway, and you can just shut it down. Well, that's not good for the viewers to see that. I don't mean to Georgia was the first name that popped to my mind. I'm sure Kirby would probably never do that. It's not in his nature. But, there's just so much of this that also the playoff, and the reason that the NCAA tournament is so big is that basketball is a different sport. You can have one or two guys on a team of 12 on the roster that completely change the face of something and can win a couple games in a row. Football is a different thing. And while for too long the playoff and the postseason was too small and too exclusive, now it's like they tried cocaine for the first time and they can't stop.
The 18% of men's basketball teams, Division I, there's like 360 or so, make the postseason.
Yeah.
18% if they go to 24 of the 131 to 38 in football. 18%.
Well, but it's also this, and the sports are not apples to apples comparison.
Not at all. Not at all.
That's my point. And
yeah, basketball you can play night. In the tournament, you're not going to play back to back. You're going to play like twice in a weekend.
Yeah. Now I saw people say that this does a good job of like weaving around the NFL and maybe not going up against them, but it still creates the calendar problem. And what they should do is just own December as much as they can, because the more they get into January, I don't care what day you play during the week. Once the NFL plays right after you, you're not the story anymore. We've seen it year over year over year. The NFL playoffs happen, and then all of a sudden, if you're watching SportsCenter, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to talk about the NFL playoffs all day from the site of the national championship game.
The NFL's not going to give turf back, though.
Exactly.
December's kind of.
But that's my point. Is like, so you have to just try to own December as much as you can, because once the NFL playoffs start, which is not in December, you can't gain any ground from them. But if you are in your postseason before they're in theirs, you can maybe hold some of the line a little bit better.
Yeah, I find it necessary to mention the TV component. I also think it's a good time to remind everybody that these ideas aren't what's best for college football. They're what's best for the stakeholders, primarily the TV networks. They're the ones that want the expanded playoffs. So all this other, like, oh, this is the best for the sport. Bullshit. This is what Fox and ESPN want, because this is how they can continue to make money. They've basically exhausted it's like everything else. It's like everything we talk about. It's like, okay, where does the money lead? That's why they're doing whatever they're doing, whether it's a corporation or it's a sports league or whatever. Why are they having this guy perform at halftime? Money. Why are they having this location as their spot now to host games? Money. Why are they doing neutral site games all the time? Money. Why is everything happening? Money. So yeah, this is the way to get more money and keep squeezing, because everybody who even has money is still in desperate need of money, apparently, based on all the headlines out there in college football. So let's just call it what it is. This is what the TV networks want, and I bring that up because I have seen a couple people, well, this would be great for the game and great for everybody's got a chance, and I'm like, yeah, no, we've kind of said that with the 12 teams, so I mean, I guess that makes sense with this as well, although I don't think 24 deserves a chance to win a national title. That's where I have the barriers. I don't think they deserve it. I think you'd have to earn your way, and I don't think you necessarily really earn a top 24 ranking to the point that you also then should earn a spot at a national title. So that's where they kind of lose me of like, oh, it's more access. Yeah, but for teams that don't necessarily deserve it. And yeah, I know that maybe one of them could go on this wild run, but the moment we bring that up for certain teams, like, oh, well, they can't possibly win these games. So I don't know about the access piece really being that much of a sell, but that will, I think, be the big sell for a lot of people is now, yeah, if you're Houston last year in the Big 12, you didn't even make the title game, but guess what? You might make the playoff now. So that is something that you could throw out there as chum for people that'll go, yeah, I don't really love it, but hell, if you're telling me now there's a chance Houston gets in the playoff, then great. But you know what? The playoff is basically the Pool on Weed Eater Bowl. It's just disguised as a first-round playoff game now. So yeah, the TV networks are driving all of this, and that's where all of this is coming from. And I think when it comes to the NFL part, I just don't give a shit about them running up against the NFL all the time. And I get that's why they have to make their business decisions. But we're like, gosh, you got to avoid the NFL. Got to avoid the NFL. So is it best for the game, or is it best for your TV ratings? Which I guess in turn you could say, well, that's also best for the game. But this running away from the NFL thing, it bothers me, because we've heard it brought up quite a lot lately, and I understand that it is a juggernaut, and you don't want to put your semifinal game against a playoff game that's going to take 10 million viewers away from you. But best for the game would be just playing on the best days, not going, oh, NFL's playing that day, we got to avoid that one. Like, does that make any sense?
Well, it does. It does, but because they will be slaughtered. The NFL games will take a lot away from them. But you know what? You just play. Go play no matter what. If it's about the money, though, to expand to 24, are you going to get the same kind of money for the playoff if your ratings drop 50%?
Right, and so that's where I find myself in kind of this loop where, as I'm talking it out, I understand that there's a lot of holes that can be poked in it, but my mind's just kind of going in the circle of what's best for the game. In my mind, is playing games on Saturdays and playing games, but I also know that what's best for the game is making the most money they can. So while I don't think that avoiding the NFL is like best in the spirit of college football, from a business decision, yes, it is the best decision. And it's just hard for me still, even at this point, to realize that all we're doing is just talking about business decisions 24/7.
Yes,
We're not talking
right.
about
Bingo.
rivalries being cool. We're talking about, but we got to get rid of that because we can go make this rivalry and make 10, like all we're talking about with all these changes is like just how the bigger people can make more and more money. And that's what's best for the game. And I think we should separate the business of the game and the spirit of the game. The spirit's getting just thrown to the wayside left and right, and they're poo-pooing all over the spirit of the game for the sake of the business of the game. And I understand that there's a lot at stake, so it's not just black and white, but that's what. Hopefully that makes more sense. That's what's driving me crazy is that everybody's like, the business, the business, the business, the money, the business, the money, and it's just like, I just like the game, though. And I know that's too pure of a thought.
Blame it on Georgia and Oklahoma for that lawsuit.
Yeah, it's Georgia and Oklahoma. I mean, but that's that place I just find myself spinning, basically.
And if it's not about money in the playoff and more money, then it's about lawsuits. And it rarely is about, hey, by the way, let's look at the quarterback. I know it's early, but it'd be nice to kind of look at the depth chart.
Lawsuits are all about money too.
Yeah,
it falls under that
right.
category. Lawsuits are all about money.
Yeah.
It's just there is not, and that's where the leadership of college football needs to get. And this is so pie in the sky. I feel stupid even saying it, but I do think this is culturally a problem in America across the corporate culture. I cannot think in the last 10 years. I can think of the last since 9/11 with airline flights. Since what has happened for college football, because it's so corporate now, outside of expanding the playoff, which is better, and some of the other things they were forced to do, outside of all that, what have they done that's better for the fans? For the actual customers of the product.
Not a single thing.
Yeah, okay, and so not a single thing.
But the sport has never been more popular.
According to who?
The ratings.
The TV executives and all the people making the money.
And also, there's new ways to watch that were never there before. So the sport was going to be more popular when you gave people more ways more access to consume it. That was just obvious.
There's a lot of propaganda disguised as headlines out there.
Exactly.
Every time there's starting to be a little bit negative, it's like, but the ratings are the best they've ever been.
So here's I will say what's good. The expanded playoff, the fact that it's clearly not the same 8, 9, 10 teams that can circulate through, that everybody has a chance now if they have a plan, and the fact that if your team is not one of the best, you can still watch them if you're not at the stadium, which was a problem for a long time because if you were a fan, you didn't live in the same city, you were not going to get to see them on TV, or even if you did in the same city, if they didn't pick it up, you couldn't see it. And so those are all good. But when it comes to the actual consumers, the problem is that gets really expensive watching the games. It's really expensive now to go to the games. They make you travel for the biggest games all December long and January long if your team is
and sometimes
elite.
Multiple games.
Multiple times. They're trying to expand the playoff out so much that it dilutes the thing. Nothing has been done to make it better for the actual consumers of this. And you can compare it to almost any gigantic corporate entity in the USA right now where airlines haven't gotten better. Have chain restaurants gotten better? No,
I think some of them finally started to feel the backlash because I've seen some have to turn back towards actually having some quality because they finally started to feel it in their pockutbooks.
But it took forever. All of a sudden Applebee's is like, oh, maybe we shouldn't use kangaroo meat in our burgers.
Right.
We should use cow like people like. All these different things that have happened. That they're cheap.
I didn't know that.
Whatever cheap crap that they were buying and trying to pass it off as real food. People have done that. So the culture of America has been, let's go corporate. But what that does is get you further and further away from an actual regular American citizen who likes football and just wants to enjoy the game within their budget.
Okay, Chick-fil-A makes a bunch of money.
Yes.
Right? But let them go run the college football playoff.
I mean, I would say even I go to Chick-fil-A regularly. Their sandwiches have gotten a bit smaller. I think there's been a couple times where I think the quality of the chicken's been a little bit where I go, that's not quite. But then, like, the next time I go back, it's regular again. But there's just been a couple times where I'm like, man, if Chick-fil-A's starting to feel it, then Lord help us all. But it's steadied out again. It's steadied out. But look, there's some cool things about this. I don't want to every time something new happens, it's like, oh my God. It's just that you're talking about doubling the entire playoff. And so there are positives to it. There are negatives to it. It's not going to change my fandom in any certain way. Although I think they're gradually getting there with certain things. Like, I don't want to follow lawsuits for the next 10 years. That's really going to – I'm going to get tired with that after a while. But, yeah, with this idea, it's an idea. It's a proposal. There's been various ones. I know what our reaction as radio podcast guys to do is, like, immediately knee-jerk on this thing. So, yeah, the things that jump out look to me, the negatives jump out first. Like, again, 8 teams having buys and doubling the field. So if you're the 23rd team in the country with 4 losses in the SEC, like, congrats, South Carolina. You're in the playoff. I don't think South Carolina deserves to be in the playoff. That's where I have my issues. Now, there's also some stuff that could be cool. There's some stuff that maybe is better for the game, even though, again, all this revolves around the TV networks first and foremost, and then to a lesser extent the schools, because let's face it, they're also chasing money as much as anybody right now, and even the Ohio States and UTs of the world still need more constantly. So with all that being said and recognized, the conference championships get addressed through this. I mean, you effectively eliminate those. You do rearrange the calendar a bit to try and make it make a bit more sense. And so those are at least a couple of the things that would entail. The automatic qualifiers goes out of the wayside. So if you didn't like that, then you get your wish here. The committee has less of an impact because now you're going with your top 24, and so it's I think a situation where 25 is still going to complain, but I do think you take some of the anxiety out of the college football playoff committee part of this. So there are some things. And there was a couple of other things I read. Potentially avoid first-round rematches when possible. You still have games at bowl sites for the quarters and the semis. Like, there's things that –
Why avoid rematches?
Because I don't think people want to see rematches.
Well,
then
you're kind of that's a small part of this, but then you're kind of dictating who should play each other. I know that we're talking college, but in the NFL, it just lays the way it lays. Here it is, and you go with it. There's no complaints about that they played each other in the same division, or in week 8 or 12.
I don't know. It's not really the point that I'm going to get hung up on. Is that
no,
part
it's
of
not.
it? But I mean, that's just part of the deal.
It just.
And here's what I would warn them to just continue on my corporate metaphor. So, did you ever meet somebody who worked for Boeing before 1997?
I probably did. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure I did.
Boeing was one of the great companies in America. Great companies in America. And then expansion, merger, they merged with McDonnell Douglas. And what happened? McDonnell Douglas's culture took over, where instead of making the best planes in the world, they found out how to make the same size planes way cheaper. And then lately, what happens to Boeing planes? The doors fly off in midair and people get sucked out and all these things happen. And why did that happen? Because people got greedy and the culture didn't, shifted the wrong direction. So focus on making a good product and the money will come. It may not come right away, but the fact is that right now they're not focusing on making a good product at all. They're not really focused on making that. They're focusing on making it bigger and not better.
They're making money?
Yeah, exactly.
I think some of them think that it would be for the better. I think there's some people that like the playoff expansion. I don't think it's 100-0. I would personally do it differently, but I also don't have the skin in the game that some of these people do. So they're not making decisions as Craig Smoak podcast host. They're making decisions as president of Ohio State that has to make money for his shareholders and for his athletic department. So that's also where you're going to have differences of opinion. But yeah, I think if you took your average college football fan, you said, give us the perfect scenario, it would be really great. but it would also probably not be all that realistic to satisfy all the mouths that you have to feed. And so that's where the disconnect really is, and that's why they can't just do the perfect 16 teams determined by this computer ranking, no committee involved, no this or that. As much as that makes sense, it just doesn't work for everybody, right? It doesn't provide enough of the maximum value. So this is a way the Big Ten thinks they can provide maximum value. Again, it's another one of their proposals. There's been multiple ones. It would effectively eliminate conference championship games. It would do a number of things. It would, in their sell of it, increase the availability to make the playoff, accessibility, I guess is the word I should use, and therefore make things more exciting. I just get to a point now, it was like, so the next iteration will be 32 because now we want even more people to feel accessible. And that's where you lose me on the access thing. It's like, first, I think you should earn access. Again, I'll repeat that because the bigger you get, the more I think people are earning it. But yeah, at some point, it's like access is just kind of this fictional thing that like you think you're getting access, but you're not really getting access. You're just getting a bowl game disguised as a first-round playoff game in this massive field of playoff teams.
You're getting a second game.
Yeah, but you're under the impression that it's a playoff because technically you have a chance to go a little further, right?
Yeah, the winner of those games gets a second game. That's what they get is you get a second bowl game.
But if you're a group of 6 team and you make it in a 24-team playoff, your odds go down. The numbers are higher, but your odds go down. You're going to make it. One team makes it now if it was 12 or 16 or whatever. But
But they also said like the safety net part of like so for the really good teams, the big brands is what you normally classify the good teams as. So if they stumble early on, then there's room to make up because now like look, losses don't mean as much. So I don't know. You got on the one hand the accessibility piece. You've also got like we've already watered down the regular season a little bit. This is only going to water it down further because now you can beat Texas and Texas A&M or Michigan or whatever. 3 losses, you're still in, baby. Like there's no problem whatsoever. Now in this iteration, we're seeing 3 teams flirt with the 12 team.
Well, Texas was right on the edge, weren't they?
Yeah. So they're already there, but now they're in. Like there's not even a question about it. They're in. So those losses ultimately meant what? Nothing. I mean, nothing really. You'd have to have like an historically bad year to not make the playoff as one of those types of teams. So that's where.
So does that put more pressure on coaches because everybody's making the playoffs and you don't?
I mean, it should. I mean, if there's 24 teams get in and you're the head coach at Michigan and you can't get in the playoff, then yeah, you're not cut out for that job. Clearly, if you can't be one of the top 24 teams in the country. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack from it. It's not passing today. It might not even be what we end up with, but it is. Like a lot of the other proposals, just something interesting to look at. And I think at this point, it's pretty much – I mean, it's inevitable we're going to see a bigger playoff. It's just a matter of 16 or 24. Who gets their way, the SEC or the Big Ten? And if whoever gets their way, how do we get to that point where Petiti, after pushing and pushing and pushing for 24 and winning 3 straight national titles in his league, doesn't get his way? How? Like, what did Sankey tell him, or how did they convince him to go the other way? And if we go to 24, then what was the sell to Greg Sankey to get him off of 16 and to join the 24? Because those are the 2 guys that are going to make this decision. And they're at odds right now, and they're obviously working through that. But, yeah, the Big Ten, I'm sure if this continues on in 6 months, guess what? We'll have a new article with a new proposal, and they'll float this again and try to get everybody riled up again. But yeah, we're clearly heading towards a bigger playoff. It's just a matter of how we get there and what it looks like on the other end. And for me, this is just a little bit too much.
This was a part of the story today. We've heard about 24, but the internal documents that were released to some that discuss some of the actual specifics. That's why we brought it up. Otherwise, I agree, and I think all of us agree, college football has never been more popular. I can't wait for it to start again, although I will really kind of enjoy about 5 months or so to kind of decompress. But the playoff never seems like it's ever just, this is what we're going to do for a few years. The lawsuits and eligibility and the transfer portal, it's part of what we do. So here you talk about, so Trinidad Chambliss yesterday, he's going to play another year. And then I don't know, I'm just kind of doing a project. Next thing you know, Joey Aguilar is in court today. It never ends, does it? It just one after another.
Well, it's what you signed up for.
No, it is. And we cover the hell out of it. But it does seem like, okay, who's after that? There'll be some guy from perhaps Michigan State, or maybe it's another basketball player.
When you said it never ends, I thought you meant the judge in Mississippi's
ruling
that he read for an hour yesterday.
That was like Joe Pesci.
I can't wait to hear. He didn't speak much in that movie. It was the other judge. What is a Ute in that? But I think that was him wanting to just unload all these feelings he had. He could have just been said, "I rule for Trinidad Chambliss, and here's why," and been done. But he read that.
He was
going Shakespeare on that one. Today, the judge basically said he's not going to rule today. Well, he didn't basically say, he said he's not going to rule today. So we'll wait for through the weekend on Aguilar. So,
yeah, I mean, one more thing I want to point out on the playoff is just the part about Sankey in the 16 and the Petiti in the 24. To the Big Ten's credit in this proposal, I think they kind of answered part of my question by partially satisfying Sankey by having it start at 16 and be that for 27 and 28, and then it would go to 24. So I wanted to round back to that because those two are going to decide, like we all know, but they're in different planes. So maybe that's the Big Ten's answer to satisfying Sankey is, all right, we'll try out 16 the way you want it for a couple of years, but then we go to the way that we want to do it. And will that be good enough for him? I don't know. We'll see. This clearly is probably a long way from being over. But, yeah, I mean, it sure as hell beats. I mean, I know you would like to talk about the Baylor offensive line depth chart for spring ball.
That's not what I'm saying.
But, I mean, you kind of, in some ways, I get what you mean. It's fatigue.
Yeah.
There's fatigue when you're talking about another tweet from Tom Mars or
Darren Heitner
or whatever. But that's just where the sport's found itself based on decades and decades of not doing what they should have been doing all along and preparing for this.
I think what frustrates me is I don't see an end in sight. I don't see an end in sight. I don't. And yes, make sure you scratch Sankey's back. That's smart to do that. That's part of how you get something done, by making the other person who can kill it make sure he's on board too, or she's on board too.
Well, they have no choice. There's two people, and they're going to have to make a decision together. So, yeah, I mean, if they go one way, then what were the concessions? And the other way, what were the concessions? Because there's only two ways to go. It's the Petiti way or the Sankey way, unless they just magically decide, you know what, we're doing 18 teams. We're going to meet in the middle, and we'll do 18 teams. But this seems to kind of address the 16 and the 24, and so maybe this is the one that gets Sankey on board. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, this does get tiring. And that's why I think you kind of spread it out and wait for days where there is something substantial that's not like if we just came in here every day talking about the playoff expansion, rather than, okay, there is a reason to talk about it, then that would drive me to the loony house, just speculating on it every day. But today there was reason to discuss it because there is something out there as far as the documents from the Big Ten. And all of that.
And Paul, you even made sure let's lead with that. Let's talk about it. And we did. We spent 30 minutes on it. Also, by the way, Paxton goes, that's the Big Ten and the SEC Super League. It will, and I know what you mean. And there's that thought that there's going to be 24 to 36 teams. Take those two conferences together alone, and that's 34. They're not leaving Northwestern or Vanderbilt behind. So if there's going to be a Super League, it's going to be more than just those two conferences, because Clemson and Miami and Florida State and others are not going to be left behind.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be left behind, but they might just go join the others, to his point. And so
no, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be, but it's not the Big Ten SEC, but yeah, they'll be the chunk.
But I think where he's coming from is, you're looking at a 2014 playoff, and they're going to have like 16 of the teams. The way that this gets chopped up, and that's practically an SEC Big Ten playoff at that point, because if you had the NFL comparisons are not black and white, so it's kind of the NFL does it, but it's just totally different, the way it's arranged, the number of teams and all those things. But yeah, 2014, I mean, how many teams between those two leagues you think are coming out of those two leagues? 2014 playoff.
24 from the Big Ten and the SEC, I would say.
Or at least 14.
More than half.
I would say
more
14,
than half.
Yeah.
Right?
More than half.
It's practically an SEC Big Ten playoff.
How many
at
did
that
they
point.
get with 12? What is it, like 6 or 7?
It was well over half.
Yeah.
I say that, but maybe it wasn't.
2G6. Big 12 had 1.
The ACC, yes.
And the ACC had 1. So
8 of 12.
8 of 12,
So
75%.
16 of 24.
Yeah,
It practically is
yeah.
that. And then if you were to go take some of the better teams, well, then you're probably going to say, well, we need 20 now because now we got Miami and North Carolina.
Yeah.
We got to and the ACC now, they're less deserving because, look, they don't have Clemson or North Carolina. So that's where, it may not be exactly the jump to that, but it is creeping towards that in a methodical fashion, to Paxton's point there. And I know we got to take a break. I would like to talk about the eligibility, though.
We're going to with Amanda Kristovich. Amanda Kristovich, front office sports. She was at the trial with Trinidad Chambliss. We're covering it. Also reporting with the Joey Aguilar discussion. And we also have news on the young man, Parker Kingston from BYU, has retained counsel and also has been released on bond, $100,000. We'll get to that with Amanda and her thoughts about, is this ever going to end? But what are the differences are there between Chambliss and Aguilar and anything else? And this is 365 Sports. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. What does that mean? As you get older, sometimes it starts to get not into your system, but starts to lower itself. Your T levels, testosterone level drops upper 30s, early 40s, and then maybe even it takes a little longer for some. Low testosterone means a lot of things. Your energy drops, your sex drive drops, your performance, if you even have sex drive, is not the same, or you just don't feel right. And even if you're somewhat active and you have a pretty good diet, you can still have some belly fat start to show up if you have low testosterone. Doesn't mean you will, but you can, or maybe all of the above. Contact Dr. Petty. Tell him I sent you. PettyClinicLowT.com. Tell him what your issues are. They will set you up. He will set you up to get your blood work, take care of it, get the results, contact you if your T level is too low, and put you in a program to help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be at PettyClinicLowT.com.
That's my go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Save big during the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off, or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months, plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, starting at $31,990. Happening now at Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Bold are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
Marco's only uses premium toppings, which means your pizza isn't just flavorful, it's mushroom-full, or sausage-full, or pepperoni-full. And you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas from the place named America's favorite pizza chain, starting at $8.99 every day, only at Marco's.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%.
Batteries for my fleet of trucks.
Got floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
Here we are, 365 Sports on YouTube. If you haven't hit the subscribe button or subscribe to the channel, we'd appreciate you doing that. Pass the word, spread the word. Also the like button, thank you. She is phenomenal at what she does. Amanda Kristovich, over all sorts of different legal stories, matters, topics, and more, lawsuits, has joined us many times. It's been a while, but Amanda joins us. Chambliss, Aguiar, everything you could imagine. And she joins us now on 365 Sports with Craig and Paul, David Smoak. Amanda, thank you very much. It never ends, does it? Amanda, can you hear us okay? Okay. Let's try to, let me know when you get her. Let me know when you get her. Amanda, again, had all sorts of full reporting from Trinidad Chambliss, and also now with what Paul mentioned. The judge in the Aguilar case says he cannot rule from the bench, but will have a decision in short order. In the meantime, has extended the temporary restraining order, giving him, the player, eligibility until he issues the injunction decision.
Yeah, so as we left yesterday, kind of the writing was on the wall that Trinidad Chambliss was going to get another year, and obviously had home court advantage, home judge advantage, and got his wish. He's getting another year. So, part of me is like, great. I really enjoyed watching him last year. Another part of me thinks that the eligibility issues continue to suck and continue to be muddled, and what one judge rules here is not what another judge rules here, and that's as big a part of the problem that we're seeing right now as anything when it comes to just there's no clear set of rules on these determinations. And it is as much about like if you get the right judge now or home court as if you're really your case is that rock solid. So I think you could see where Chambliss's people were coming from as far as that year. You could also see the other side of it where it's like, I don't know, so yeah, that went the way that Ole Miss fans were hoping for, and I think the rest of college football was kind of like, damn it, this was one of those that we could shoot down and try to maintain some semblance of control, but now it's just clear again, the NCAA really is not in control of a lot of these things. And so, again, as far as watching a player, awesome. As far as him getting a year of eligibility, I don't love that necessarily, but it is what it is. And then with Aguilar, the big part that I saw today was that the judge was trying to figure out from the lawyers of how much he's actually going to lose, which they couldn't really prove because guess what? The numbers are kind of shady and not really all out there publicly, right? And so he was, based on what I could see, trying to determine what the damages actually are, and the lawyers were having a hard time kind of defining that for him. So that's where I think there was a little bit of a roadblock that the judge ran into, was trying to get that sorted out. And so, yeah, he's going to eventually rule here in the next few days, and we'll figure out if Joey Aguilar will also get another year of eligibility. But right now I think it's 50-50.
Yeah, it's probably 50-50, but since it's the NCAA, Vegas says it's 100% that probably Aguilar will win. Amanda Kristovich, Front Office Sports. Let's see if we can get connected to her now. Amanda, are you there? She is not. Ugh, don't like it. So there we are with that. Now, there's Lane Kiffin, by the way. You mentioned Tom Mars. Did you see his tweet?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his tweets.
No, but did you see the one that he put up? Why not 1-800-TOM-MARS?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do if I was any of these guys. And I think that he's an amazing attorney. Also, he quote tweeted Paul Feinbaum this morning, where Paul Feinbaum said that the NCAA has the worst legal department ever. And he said that's the understatement of the century. And I asked, and I hope Tom Mars will respond to me. He actually has in the past. I sent him a direct message one time, and he did. So I wonder, are there bad lawyers working for the NCAA, or are there good lawyers that have bad cases that they can't win? Or since the NCAA keep losing cases, do they keep getting bad lawyers who are just like, I just want the billable hours, man?
I think clearly there's not a lot that they can enforce.
Yeah.
Like, that's the I don't know. There's probably some element of the lawyers not being maybe what they're touted to be, but like if there's not rules to enforce, then how are you supposed to win any cases? Like if they tell you like, well, no, this eligibility doesn't mean anything, or this doesn't mean anything, then yeah, I don't know how much they can actually do without real rules in place to go off of. And so I think just the the system that got away with pretty much everything for a while is now just fully exposed, and people are seeing just how weak it actually was as a structure, and how not legal it was as a structure ultimately. And they got away with it for decades, but yeah, the reckoning has come, and now there's been a lot of lawsuits. But also, why am I supposed to root for the NCAA in all these cases? I don't think they're always right. I don't think that they're always on the good side of the athlete. I think that they are, as proven as much as anybody, as selfish as all these coaches and presidents and everybody else, because guess what? That's what they're comprised of, is a lot of those people. So they're not some, pure entity that's the victim in all of this. They're an entity that was anything but pure, that got away with grabbing all of the money they could from the athletes, and now they're playing the victim because they're getting their ass kicked up, down, left, and right. And yeah, it sucks for the game that they're getting some of these ass kickings, because we would like things to be a bit clearer, but by no means are they the victim. They were the ones in control for the longest and did not budge until the world and the law basically said, you have to budge. And if not for that, then they would still be taking advantage of student athletes and not paying them a dime if they didn't have to. So, I don't want to act like, oh, man, poor NCAA.
No.
I mean, you asked for all of this.
No, there's not one ruling. There may be a ruling or two, Craig, that I like, I'd like to see at least maybe slow down. But slow down what? That forever and ever they were like the Kremlin or the IRS. They weren't going to lose. They were going to tell you what to do. Now they're taking a beating because of the fact they waited too long to actually have people make sense.
Okay, we're going to try this differently this time. Amanda, I know you can hear us. Can you say something out loud so that we might be able to hear you? I think I might have fixed it. Nope.
No. God, man,
New studio gremlins. Not sure what's going on now. So
sorry, Amanda. I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to get to her. That sucks. She's waiting for us, and we're not ready for her. All right, that's just the way it is. And we have to get these things fixed, and we're trying. We're trying to get it done, and we will. By the way, one college football in the game, coaches, the Broyles Award was announced, and the Indiana defensive coordinator was named the Broyles Award for the best assistant coach in college football. Not a surprise, and that still is one of the things that about Indiana's run. We hear about Cignetti, and you hear about the offense, and that's what I saw more of last year with their quarterback play, and then Mendoza, and they score a bunch of points and put up a lot of yards. But it was the defense this year that really stood out to me, and Haynes has been now named the Broyles Award winner for 2025.
Yeah, I mean, very deserving, and certainly, I mean, Indiana has earned all of these accolades, and Bryant Haynes is deserving of any money coming his way and any accolades coming his way, just like the rest of that staff. So, yeah, their defense was, I think, the big surprise to people. Mendoza got a lot of the attention and some of their other offensive stars, but it was that defense that was their bread and butter ultimately and helped lead the way from start to finish. But they were a really nice, complete team and one of the better teams that we've seen, and not sure what Indiana continues to look like moving forward. But in 2025, they were nasty, man, from every single angle you look at them, coaches, players, just unit totals. I mean, everything. They were a really, really good team, as evidenced by going wire to wire and beating all the types of teams and the named teams that they beat. So, yeah, the accolades continue to pour in, and rightfully so for Indiana. This is maybe the start of something, but I would really, really be pressing in the Indiana people I knew to really bask in the glow of this particular year, because going undefeated and having this group of guys together, it's just not probably going to ever happen again. I mean, you might go undefeated again, but just not like this. It's not going to be the first time that you did it. And to basically keep everybody sort of together, we know that's not going to last forever either. So, yeah, what a year in 2025 for the Hoosiers, and still somewhat in 2026.
I did see that the NFL Combine invite did not include Kalen Black, the running back, and also Kamara, who had he had a hell of a year. The edge rusher for Indiana. So those guys who have been, most of them overlooked, whether it was James Madison at Indiana or both, that doesn't mean they won't get into the NFL, but there were some pretty good names on that list that did not get invites to the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back with the 4 o'clock hour. More to get to. DJ Lagway will join us. Baylor quarterback, transfer from Florida, from Willis High School, and more on that. And this is 365 Sports. So the other day, finished up a workout, and I was talking to a friend. He was asking me about, hey, how's your hip doing? I said, it's doing really well. I started treatment with QC Kinetics in Dallas. There's locations in Dallas and Houston. I'll give you the phone numbers in a moment. Advanced Cellular Regenerative Medicine. In other words, they take what's inside of your body and spin it around, and they put it back in your body. Who knows your body more than your body? And so that's what QC Kinetics does. I've had numerous injections in my back to try to kick the can down the road when it comes to back pain, shoulder pain, or even the issue I had for a long time when it comes to the hip on my right side. So the guy goes, so it's better? I go, yeah. 42-year-old man. He's already had one knee replacement, and he's looking at probably having yet another one. His ankles are always aching. His knees are aching. And it's not like something that they can say, okay, this is like some disease. It's pain. So I told him about QC Kinetics. I gave him the numbers to call, and I also gave him the website, which is qckinetics.com. How many times have you had steroid injections in your back or somewhere to kick the can down the road, but all that does is delay the inevitable? It's coming back. QC Kinetics in Dallas at 972-972-8610. You see Roger Clemens with endorsements for QC Kinetics in Houston, 713-913-5285. Regenerative medicine, utilizing your own natural biologics like platelet-rich plasma, and stem cells. It is working for me. I hope it works for the 42-year-old Kent, and I hope it works for you, but you get free consultation. Call them. It is 972-8610, 713-913-5285, and get rid of, not kick the can down the road when it comes to joint pain.
In IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At BK4, we step onto the field every day for our customers. Here, legends are born and glory is earned. The spirit of competition unites us all as we stand as one. It's more than a truck, it's a passion. Get ready for the thrill, the triumphs, and the unforgettable moments that only BK Ford can deliver. Are you ready to experience better? BK Ford.
Hello. Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
This is 365 Sports.
365 Sports, I got a couple of offbeat stories. Normally we do that a lot with Off the Radar with Craig on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but this won't be available most likely for next Tuesday and Thursday. We had John Riggins, Washington Hall of Fame running back, was with us at the Super Bowl. Remember the jersey that hung on the rack that was on the table when we interviewed him, Paul?
Yes.
Sold for $470,000.
Yeah, one of the guys on Selling Sunset bought it. But yeah, we had it. We were right there. You could have taken off with it.
No.
I think you could have gotten pretty far. You're in good shape.
I was in awe. That's one of those. He's just such a great player.
Oh, Craig, it was disgusting. No, you would have really enjoyed it.
No, I didn't know I'd be able to get to talk to him. It was great.
Garrett and Smokey almost passed out when he first walked by. It was a big deal. But yeah, how much?
$470,000.
And he also bought the Super Bowl ring too. Same guy for like six figures there too.
For $105,000.
Yeah, so he spent $500,000 on John Riggins gear on that auction.
Hunt Auctions is happy.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he had a broken foot, by the way, Mr. Hunt, when he was there. So I'm sure that the pain of that washes away when you make $500,000 off one guy.
Yeah, Jason Oppenheim. So he gets it for $585,000. He gets the jersey, which was tattered, dirty, grass stained, holes in it, and then also the Super Bowl ring. Now, what's the one thing about the Olympic Games that sometimes it doesn't change whether it's the winter or the summer? You run track and field unless there's somebody who gets qualified or a disqualified or a baton drops, and of course that's to say it's judging, right?
Yes.
You can't do anything about it, though.
No, I mean, you can investigate the judge, but in figure skating, it's usually the same country, though.
What sport gets the highest ratings in the Olympic Games?
Figure skating.
Figure skating by, a huge amount. So the French judges are at it again, huh?
Yes. I watched all of this the other night.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, I'm becoming a figure skating guy now. I can't help it. I'm a big fan of the quad god. But the American team was as perfect as you can possibly be. They were fantastic. Madison Chalk and Evan Bates, they're married. Cute as a button. In the French team, Laurence Fournier-Baudry and Guillaume Cizeron won gold, but their twizzles were not perfect. And you can't mess up twizzles. It's ridiculous. The French judge scored them 3 points higher than everybody else on average, and that enabled them to jump Chalk and Bates by 1.43 points. Chalk and Bates in probably their last Olympics, even though they're the best going now, it's 36 and 33 years old, do not win gold in the pairs. They won the silver, and France won, and these two skaters have only been together for a year. So it's kind of wild, the whole story.
I like that the French judge is named Jezebel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of these subjective sports that I'm always leery of, especially when you have some skin in the game and you're perhaps leaning a bit towards your home country mates. So NBC News had a story out, and they said that the 9 judges for this event, 5 of them had Chalk and Bates in first place. So over half of them have this team in first place, the U.S. team. However, there was never more than a 4.1 advantage for the U.S., leading some to believe that Jezebel Dubois gave the French team a bit of a bump. There was some other little things that people pointed out as far as the scoring goes. They were also judged in rhythm dance. Again, the French get a score from her that was 5.74 points higher than the Americans. The rest of the judges who had the French team first had them at most at 3.5. So this lady has them at nearly double. So that to me just doesn't add up. And I totally buy into the fact that there is funny business going on, especially with our political climate. It wouldn't surprise me at all if somebody's like, I want to take a dig at the Americans because they
well, something's working.
Yeah.
Because either you're anti-American or Russian or German, or you're pro-French, or maybe you're both. And in this case, Jezebel could be both helping out her home country and also taking a dig at the U.S. But I know that you can't just be blatant about it because then you'll never judge again. So they defended her and said that it's all on the up and up. But, yeah, it reeks a bit. It definitely does when you look at the disparity between her cards and everybody else, even those who said, yeah, no, we think the French were better too, but we don't think they were better by nearly as much as you apparently do. So that's where it doesn't really add up, and that gets a little bit funky.
8-point difference in the free dance between the two.
This is the second time, though, that this has happened. In December in the Grand Prix finals, she only gave them, the Americans, a slight edge despite multiple errors and a fall from the French squad. So
she's dirty.
Yeah, I mean, she's
French. She probably has hair under her arms, right?
Do you know your mother's background, by the way?
Yeah, she's French.
Yeah, very much. Bonaparte, Lamar, very much so.
Oh, yeah, I know that, Jean Vieira.
Just make sure you're not taking shots at your own kind there because you're very much a French mother. But, I think that I'm always open to the idea that corruption's going on. I don't believe it in every single thing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist where, like, every time my team loses, all the officials, I mean, they're never called holding. Like, we know some people that it's like it's borderline insane that they watch games the way that they do. But I don't do that. I definitely, though, am open to the idea that there is some ulterior motives and things that go on, and this just reeks of that. I mean, it absolutely reeks of it because of the disparities being what they are and just not in line with everybody else who was judging this competition, including her own country mates. So, I guess those judging her same country mates. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a strong opinion on this until I read the details, and whether it was the Belgians or Americans, whoever, is like, I just don't like stuff like this.
No.
I hate that this creeps into it, but when it's subjective, there's always the risk that's going to be run that something like this happens.
Gymnastics, boxing, and figure skating.
Boxing is as corrupt as it gets.
Yeah, and there was a really bad stretch of that 20, 25, 30 years ago. But those three sports seem to be, and that's how they've always decided, unless somebody gets knocked on their ass and knocked out, but that's how they decide them.
Boxing's actually, the UFC just launched their Zuffa boxing to very little fanfare because they have very little star power at the moment. They have nobody to sell tickets, really, unless you're a hardcore boxing fan. So you may have just not even realized their first event came and went without much of a blip on the radar at all. But I think that when it comes to boxing, it actually can kind of correlate a little bit to college football. I think the hardcore still stick around and love it, but tell everybody else, they're like, boxing's like it's on the radar like once maybe a year, maybe twice a year. But you ask the hardcore people, they absolutely love boxing. Oh, it's the greatest. It's the best. Look at how much money it's making. But it's not in the zeitgeist. It's not a part of the fabric anymore the way that it was. And the people that are involved in it, they'll tell you till you're red in the face how great it still is and how much money they're still making. But it's like what I'm saying with college football is like when I hear the money part, it now reminds me, like, okay, yeah, boxing's apparently really healthy too, but guess what? The sport's the worst it's probably ever been.
When you were the heavyweight champion of the world in the 40s, 50s, 60s, it was like a step below president. Like that was the
like Jack Dempsey.
So Muhammad Ali, the only person in the world, the only American in the world that people maybe knew more than him was John F. Kennedy, right? Or I guess maybe that was a little bit early, but you get my point on that. So the heavyweight champion of the world and like the president of the United States, like that's the only person who was really more famous than you at that time, and so it's different. I wonder. here's just a random thought I had about figure skating fans, because I heard all this and I saw this. Are there people like bros that watch it like, bro, you call those twizzles? That's BS.
I mean,
Yeah.
dog, honestly,
Yeah.
you're not that far from that based
Yeah.
on the last 10 minutes of
Hey,
this.
I don't know. Like
I
I might not be like
the first time I heard the word twizzles was you about 5 minutes ago saying
First time I heard it was Sunday when I was watching it, and I was like, "What's a twizzle? I don't know what that is." They have some moves like the standing sit and spin and toe lutzes and all these different things.
Lutzes have been around long.
Yeah,
time.
but like
So I know we're not far from your annual WNBA mock draft. We might have had to add a figure skating segment for you as well.
I'll just tell you, what got me into it is watching Ilya Malinin, the quad god. This guy, this feller, he's one heck of a skater. I'll tell you that right now. He's the only person that can do the quadruple axel, and he's the only one who's ever done it in competition.
Yeah, I've seen him.
In his routine, which is going to happen here imminently, he's planning on doing 3 in the same routine, which would presumably let him run away with the gold. And he was one heck of an athlete. I know this is weird to hear coming out of my mouth, but I appreciate greatness in any sport when you see it. And I don't have to
How
be.
did you know if it was great?
You can. You just one of the things you can tell. Like if I never watched golf before and I watched Tiger, you'd be like, "Oh, that ball sounds different." You know, I remember the first time I saw Roger Clemens pitch and the ball hit the glove, and I thought that's different than anything I've ever heard before. I remember seeing just different Kevin Durant, when I saw him play as a freshman at Texas when he played at the Farrell Center, I remember like, this is different. This is a whole different thing. And so I don't know anything about figure skating, but I do know what an elite athlete looks like, and it's just different.
You got to keep that toe straight and everything.
Yeah, it's really hard.
So there we are with that. And I just brought that up because I've watched some of it. I'll probably watch more this weekend because I'm not traveling. But I do. Nothing changes with some of those sports. They do have issues. Some of the same ones over and over again when it comes to judging controversies.
And look, I've learned a lot about skiing this week. It's the same thing. I watch them, and they all go down the hill around the same speed, separated by seconds, and then some person will get up. This guy, Franjo, he's from Switzerland. Franjo goes down, and you're like, how is he that much better than all these other people? It feels like he's 10 seconds faster. I know he's not, but you watch him, it's like he's flawless. It's ridiculous.
It's like guys running the 100.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you watch it, and I don't know anything about it other than like they're all taking their lives in their hands. But man, Franjo, that guy's a badass.
Yeah, I just saw. Is there some news on the quad god that just occurred? I don't want to spoil anything for anybody.
It was imminent that he was skating here soon. So
you might want to check Twitter if you're on top of those types of things. I've watched a little bit of the Olympics. I like the Olympics. I don't want to spoil things for anybody. So you might need to.
Yeah, that's the other thing. When the Olympic Games usually are in another country, obviously sometimes
he stumbled.
You got to be careful about what you say on a show like this one,
right?
Because there are some of you that are going to go home tonight and watch the replay.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it. I like the Olympics. I just for some reason haven't been pulled in the way I typically feel like I am by the end of the first week. Like it's the end of the first week, and I'm just sort of still. Okay, like kind of checking things out here and there. I could not tell you the medal count right now. I'm not on top of that at all. And I don't really have any standout things that I've seen, but I clearly have not watched nearly as much as Paul has or my relatives who are deep into the Olympics. So I'm sure I'll digest some more of that this weekend and get a little bit more into it. And then next thing you know, it'll be gone, and then we're really just waiting for spring training baseball at that point, or the World Baseball Classic, I guess, isn't too far away, right?
Yeah. But just the medal count, in case you're wondering, Norway has 18 with 8 golds. Italy, the host country, 18 with 6 golds. USA, 4 golds with 14 medals. Japan, 14 medals and 3 golds overall.
I wonder if Trump let the Olympians back if they don't win the most gold medals.
Send them to Venezuela.
Losers.
So you want to. Some of you guys might look strange at this, but I have to report this. The Italian newspaper La Stampa says the supply of condoms in the Olympic Village, they've run out after 3 days.
It is an absolute
10,000.
Oh no, it's an absolute F palace there. The Olympic Village with those single high level athletes. Like once they get done with their event, Like, it's celebration time.
Yeah, that's been talked about for years and
Yeah.
years. That's always been the case. I mean, that's nothing new. I think it's almost like I could go ahead and say for the next Olympics, like, bet you $10,000 there's a story at some point about the lack of condoms that are at the Olympic Village. Like, that's almost a guaranteed story now every single year. It's not a surprise when it happens anymore. It's just not. But yeah, you've got a bunch of super athletic and successful and in some cases good looking and worldly people all congregated in a cool place and a couple weeks to hang out. And so, there's a lot of future Olympians that are probably born from the Olympics itself.
Yeah, like right now it looks like there's going to be some that happen because there's no rubbers.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah,
So,
I guess
yeah.
they're trying to prevent that from spawning the next generation of Olympians. But if they don't, I guess, get an emergency shipment or something, then maybe they're not going to be able to do that.
Mom, Dad, where did I come from? Like,
Here in about 18, 20 years, we'll figure out who was busiest in Italy during 2025 or 2026. It'll be like if the Germans and the like Iranians or something, like really, really good or something. It'll be like, I guess there was some crossover or something. I don't know. But
yeah, some people have to pick a home country because they were conceived at Milan Cortina. Like, well, my mom's an Italian skier and my dad is a Canadian hockey player, and we kind of lived in both countries, but I really think of myself as Italian, so I'm going to do the moguls as for Italy.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Buonasera.
By the way, 2,800 plus athletes in the Olympic Village. 10,000 condoms gone in 3 days. That's the story.
That is awesome. That is just the 3 days. I didn't even think about the 3 days.
So hey, you finished 23rd in the giant slalom. Oh, but I had a great time.
Look, hey, there's 2,800 athletes, right? 2,800 athletes. So that's like 4 per person.
Well, there's 1,500 men. Because the women aren't using the condoms.
Yeah, so
they are, but they're not.
So it's like 8 per person going through. So, man,
well, in some countries don't believe in them.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I think
a lot of the
Italy might be one of those. So, like, it's probably harder to get them.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I know a condom.
Yeah. Yeah. And the picture of the title of the tweet is a long-legged, beautiful Olympian from the United States, and underneath the title of that story. All right, I want to get into college basketball. Another weekend coming up, and here are some. This is from Brendan Marks from theathletic.com. He put the top teams in tiers. If you took everybody, and of course there are some great teams right now, but he put the first tier. These are teams you almost know are going to end up in the Final Four, barring some kind of catastrophic upset. He said his top 2 teams, only 2 in the top tier, Arizona, who just lost to Kansas, and Michigan, who's basically been running right through the Big Ten. Anybody else just deserve to be among the top 2? And there's 4 teams in the next tier, et cetera.
Say the top.
Arizona, Michigan.
Okay, yes.
Arizona, Michigan.
Okay.
And they've been that pretty much 1 and 2 most of the year. Now, you can lose in college basketball. That's the one thing about losing the game at KU at the Allen Fieldhouse, and you win this weekend, and on Monday you might be 2 and Michigan might be 1.
I don't think, especially if Arizona wins tomorrow, I don't think they should drop off the 1 line. I don't think they should. Losing in Allen Fieldhouse on a big Monday, everybody that ever has played Bill Self has done that.
Yeah.
You were in a group of everyone who's ever done that. In a close game, too. It wasn't like you got blown out. They had to come back and beat you on their home court without their best player. So, yeah, it's that one to me shouldn't move them off, especially since Michigan already has their first loss. I think they should stay there. I don't think losing to Kansas on Big Monday at Allen Fieldhouse should move you off unless they turn around and lose.
Michigan
tomorrow.
has won 9 straight. And so, and again, they've been really, really good. Their only loss was to Wisconsin, although that was a home game.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose to Tech, which is very, very possible, Tech's a fantastic team. If they lose to Tech, move them off the 1 line. They have lost 2 games in a row. If Michigan wins on Saturday and they play UCLA, so yeah, probably they'll win that game.
Cronin.
Yeah,
at the end of that.
Complain about Michigan. Flying all the way to Michigan. But yeah, I don't think anybody else quite has that resume for the top 2 yet. But those teams in the top 7 are all, like, I think, interchangeable once a winning streak or losing streak happens.
Tier 2, these are teams nobody will think twice if any of them cut down the nets in April. UConn, Duke, North Carolina just upset them in a bizarre finish. Houston or Illinois?
Yeah, I think Illinois have surprised me the most, but they're still really, really good. I don't know. Like, I don't know why Iowa State's not in that tier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of thoughts on this, but I do think that of the teams you just mentioned, I'm like just looking at the rankings as you say them. The one team you just skipped right over was Iowa State. That's not mentioned there. You've mentioned the entire top 7, with the exception of Iowa State.
I've mentioned 6, but that's okay. Yeah, Iowa State would be at 5. They're number 5 in the country.
No, you've mentioned there's a top 7. You mentioned 6 teams. The one team you haven't mentioned is Iowa State.
No, okay. I've mentioned 6. I thought you guys. Okay, yeah.
You know what? I'm wrong. Duke is another team that has not been mentioned, right?
No. Yeah, Arizona, Michigan, top tier. Then UConn, Duke, Houston, and Illinois.
I was just making sure you said Duke. So my point stands
Yeah.
that the only team you haven't mentioned in the top 7 is Iowa State.
Yep. They just lost at TCU. Had a couple of games back-to-back. One of them didn't make too much sense, as good as they are, at Cincinnati, but you're going to lose a game at home, and they a game at times at somebody else's home court. And they lost. They got drilled by Kansas by 21.
Yeah, they lost 2 in a row. Then they won five in a row, and then they lost.
No, they're really good.
The other night. Now, again, they got to play Kansas, but it's at Hilton Coliseum on Saturday, so we'll see how that one goes. That's one of the hardest places to play in the country.
I saw them. What was it against Baylor recently? And they
that was second to last game.
Baylor made that little thing at the end that they do. Okay, they're just better. I mean, that's not breaking news, but they're pretty smooth. They're very good. But now, tier 3. This would include nobody else. Nobody in tier 3.
See, I don't buy into that because.
So what does tier 3 constitute? Like, why would
Tier 3 encompasses 2 groups of teams: those that started hot but have shown some cracks, and those who started slow but are now rolling downhill. He moved number 3 to 4. The tier 3 includes Iowa State, Kansas, Nebraska, Michigan State, and Florida.
So the Midwest and Florida.
Yeah.
But yes, Florida does not have near what they did last year. Like, they don't have the same chemistry. They're not as dynamic. They're still really good. I wouldn't, if they were my first or second round draw or any kind of draw in the tournament, I would rather have somebody else most of the time, but I just don't think that they're national championship good. I think that people are selling the 2 Big 12 schools in that a little bit short, and Nebraska, I understand selling them a little bit short because of their history, but they still only lost 2 games, and they're in they're in the second best conference this year in the Big Ten.
They're starting to show a little wear down factor. They had getting blown out by Purdue at home and came back and tied the game, which was an overtime game. Last year, Florida finished the year winning 12 straight. 12 straight, including, of course, the tournament too. And so they were red hot at the end. And I could see that Iowa State had that little blemish a couple of those games. Kansas was hit and miss early, and now they're on fire. Nebraska's still pretty dangerous, but they're starting to show. But they've lost to teams like, Purdue, and they lost to Michigan. And that game with Michigan went down to the wire. I don't know how good they are, how much anyone trusts them, but they seem to be pretty good. So those are those top 3 tiers that they have from theathletic.com. You ready for the next tier? Purdue, Texas Tech, Gonzaga. Didn't somebody stun them? Like, I don't know who it was on the West Coast somewhere, obviously. And North Carolina with the big win. Yeah, the North Carolina with the big win against Duke recently. Those are the next teams. So Tech in at that next group of 4.
Yes, Gonzaga has 2 wins that they should be ashamed of. Michigan, the number 2 team in the country, and Portland. Portland, who's going to have that win on their record, and they're 11-14. Like, but upsets happen. I mean, they do. you can't buy great nights every night. But yeah, I mean, I agree with that tier 4. I think Tech is a really good team that could make some moves. I think Gonzaga could make some moves. I'm not totally sold on North Carolina.
Oh, they have wins for the first time in 40-plus years in the same season against Kansas, Kentucky, and Duke. It's pretty salty.
Yeah, no, I think Tech is someone who can get hot. But also, if you look at Tech's schedule and the run that they've had to make the last couple of weeks, I mean, they had UCF, who's kind of the sleeper team in the conference right now.
They're really good, man.
Yeah, Johnny Dawkins doing a great job.
Good for them.
Yes, yeah, they lost at home to Kansas, which was probably maybe the biggest Kansas road win in a long time. So yeah, they lost to Purdue, they lost to Illinois, so they lost to Arkansas. So the teams that they've lost to are all good. They had one of the tougher schedules in the country. I mean, their schedule is almost quad 1 of quad 1. Like if you made a quad 1 inside quad 1, Tech's schedule should be in that. When you have teams like Illinois, Purdue, and Arkansas, Duke, who you won over in the non-conference. So yeah, I'm all in on what Tech can do. Should they be able to finish strong, but they still have Arizona and Iowa State, TCU, and BYU left in the schedule, which will all be really tough games.
Yep, and they're going to fight you like all the other teams we talked about. The one thing about Grant McCaslin and what Tech does, and you know that if you beat them, you're going to have to, play really well. They're going to have to not so much be down because you might be just better than them, but they're going to take your eyeballs out before that thing ends the way that they play basketball. All right, 425, 365 Sports. So I had a chance to visit with DJ Lagway. We'll have that in the next segment with the Florida transfer. He's very smart. He does not get on social media. Does not get on social media at all. He made that comment to me. He's been on campus for about 3 weeks. I did ask him about the commitment to Baylor and then what took so long until he signed, and he discusses that. I asked about his dad being a legacy, and did his father ever put much pressure on him about making sure Baylor this time would be the school, among some other notes as well. My conversation with DJ Lagway, Baylor quarterback, next on 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas Marketplace off I-35 in Waco, where you get two things done. If you have pain, earlier, remember I was talking about back issues, hip issues, joint issues. Well, maybe ligament and muscle issues that hurt so much. I remember when I had the torn rotator cuff, I had surgery in July of 2015. But I couldn't sleep very long because if I slept on my left side, which I thought would help, then it seemed like the gravity would pull the pain that I was having in my right shoulder eventually down. So then I would turn and go to my right shoulder and sleep on that, and it would feel good for a little bit, and eventually it would hurt. So maybe you're having problems with that, whether it's your shoulder, your knee, your back, whatever it might be, and you need a good look and your doctor wants a better look. Muscles and also ligaments. Are they torn? Are they frayed? Are they okay? And then the diagnosis can go from there. It's IdealMRI.com. State-of-the-art imaging machine and only $497 or less every single time.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at AllianceBankTexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
It's time to compete against yourself. Finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At BK4, we step onto the field every day for our customers. Here, legends are born and glory is earned. The spirit of competition unites us all as we stand as one. It's more than a truck, it's a passion. Get ready for the thrill, the triumphs, and the unforgettable moments that only BK Ford can deliver. Are you ready to experience better? BK Ford.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
How about this? Baylor quarterback DJ Lagway, Willis High School, transfer from Florida, joins 365 Sports as that semester's rolling along. DJ, thank you very much for your time. You've been on the campus. You've been to games and all that before, from either recruitment or just with your dad's lineage and legacy. What's it been like these first 2 or 3 weeks on campus for you?
Yeah, no, it's been great, being able to be on campus, and go to class and, all those good things. So it's been great just to be around the team and just starting to build that camaraderie and that team chemistry already. So yeah, it's been fun.
Do you feel, and you hear about great athletes or whatever, there's always a little bit of pressure, a little bit of expectation. Do you feel any of that as kind of like the savior to get Baylor back on track?
Nah, no, sir, not at all, man. I just try to focus on, getting better each and every day, and just working on the things that I know I need to work on, and just trying to become a better leader and trying to know my guys right now. That's my biggest thing, knowing my teammates, getting to know them on and off the field and things like that. So, yeah.
And some of them are guys that you went and said, hey, I'm going to be at Baylor. I don't know how that actually went, but I know that you wanted some of them. You needed to have some guys other than what was on the roster to throw to. What was that like once you knew it was Baylor to start contacting other players to join you in Waco?
Yeah, right when I kind of knew I was going to come to Baylor, I started reaching out to guys and, some guys that I've been wanting to play with since high school. So, hitting up some of those guys and just trying to make something special happen here in Waco. So, yeah.
So what are the conversations like right now with Jake Spavital?
Oh, it's been great. We've been watching film every single day, just talking ball, seeing how he sees it and vice versa. He wants to see how I see it. And just, it's been really good being able to have this constant communication with the OC and talking ball with him and seeing how he thinks about different things and how I think about different things. So it's been really good.
Was recruiting in the portal any different than recruiting when you were at Willis High School?
Yes, sir, for sure. It's definitely different. I feel like when you're in the portal, you kind of know what college is already. Not the glitz and glamour stuff doesn't really affect you as it did in high school. You just kind of want to get down to the nitty gritty of it, watching ball with the OC, talking to the strength staff, talking to the academic people, and just kind of get a good sense of how the people are in the building. And I feel like it was more simple and quick. It's like, it's very, very quick process, but, I'm definitely, excited about being here.
I mentioned Baylor fans, and they'll get to know you and vice versa when the season starts, and even before that, spring and all that that goes with it. Do you sense though how thirsty they are to be? And I know you want to be successful. Your team does, coaches, but do you get a sense how thirsty they are for success in football again?
Yeah, I kind of really stay off, the social media stuff. So I really don't know the fan interaction or how that's going. But, I just kind of focus on me and focusing on how can I improve and how I can make my team better and how I could help my team, get to where we're trying to get to.
I was told that DJ Lagway, let's say you have a big game, yards, touchdowns, whatever it is, high school or at Florida, that you are always concerned about making sure your teammates get credit too. That, yeah, you're the quarterback. You're going to get sometimes the blame too much, and you're going to obviously get a lot of the adulation. Where did that come into play with you, that you always knew others were there to help you if you had success and they're having success too?
Yeah, for sure. Playing the quarterback position, you can't do it by yourself. You need five amazing old linemen blocking for you and working their tails off for you. You need a running back getting the protection and getting out for check downs and things like that, and receivers, doing their job. So it's a especially like on offense, all 11 have to be clicking, for plays to be successful, and it's a team sport at the end of the day. Not one person, especially on the offensive side, could you know, be spectacular and be over everybody else. So I feel like my biggest thing right now, and just coming in, being on campus for 3 weeks now, is just trying to know my guys. I feel like relationships right now are the biggest thing. So trying to build relationships with those guys on and off the field. So when we get on the field, we kind of know each other.
Is most everything now film and or weight conditioning, off-season type stuff? What are you doing right now?
Yeah, yes, sir. I've been watching countless of film. Doing a lot of stretching, a lot of lifting and things like that, things of those sorts. But a new thing I've kind of added to my off season is called it's like virtual reality training. Just
Mhm.
work, learning the offense, going through my reads and making decisions and things like that. So that's been a real help. And I'm excited to continue to dive into that and continue to get better at that.
Attentive to detail, quiet and humble. And I mentioned that that you want to make sure everybody else gets a lot of the accolades too. Hardest working young man I've ever been around. That's from Coach Miller at Willis. He gave me a lot of stuff. We're going to get into some of that too. But attentive to detail. That's one thing to say it, but I mean, is that like you are locked in on even the smallest details? How long? I mean, how do you know when you've got it?
Yeah, I think playing quarterback and playing football, that's the journey. You never know when you actually got it, and you never know how far you are progressing, and you just got to be stuck into the process of it. And that's my biggest thing. Like I'm so process oriented, and just worrying about today and being coaching. It kind of been a saying around here: just going 1-0. 1-0 in everything we do. 1-0 in each rep. 1-0 each drill. 1-0 each day. And just kind of just breaking things down and keeping things simple. And just focusing on the main thing right now. The main thing is just getting better each and every day and knowing our guys.
I know you did a sit down with RG3 and his wife. I think it was a podcast a long, long time ago. Did any other, or have you spoken to any other Baylor quarterbacks along the way?
No, sir, I have not. And I'm excited to to be able to connect with some of those guys and to see how their experiences here were. And to be able to learn from them as well.
And you were young, back when RG3 played, but obviously Bryce Petty, Seth Russell, Nick Florence, Jarrett Stidham, who had all of a sudden he's starting in the championship game. Sawyer Robertson. How often did you watch Sawyer? And if you watched a lot of what he did, once you knew Baylor was where you wanted to play?
Yeah, just keeping up with him from last year and the last 2 years. Just the amount of yards he's put up, always seeing it and definitely caught my eye. He's a heck of a player, especially like watching all these teach tape plays and seeing the type of throws he was making. And I'm excited I haven't personally met him myself, but I'm excited to meet him and talk to him and see what kind of helped him learn the offense and what kind of helped him excel in it.
What have you learned about yourself during the journey, the 2 years in Gainesville, the portal, what you did well, what you need to work on?
Yeah, I say every single day is a learning process. I've kind of, realized that, you know, everything isn't going to be sunshine and rainbows. You know, it's a lot of rainy days. You know, a lot of days where it's hard to get up and get out of the bed and do this. But this is what I chose to do, and I love it, and I love the good, and I love the bad. You know, so I love everything that comes with playing this position, playing this sport.
The transfer portal is a weird deal, man. I mean, we just saw the ruling yesterday. How about Trinidad Chambliss is going to get another year at Ole Miss? He was spectacular. What is it for a guy that can get in it and has been in it? Explain it from your perspective of what it means besides just leaving and playing at another school.
Yeah, you know, it's a strenuous process for sure. It's kind of like speed dating, like everything happens so fast, and it's just, you kind of have to, have your ducks in a row, sort of say, and just kind of just trust and, and have clarity on your decision because, this is like really the biggest decision of your life, and I feel like, just kind of being able to have divine clarity on your decision and being able to, trust the people around you to help them make the decision.
So you did commit to Baylor, and then you did go to Oxford, and you had other teams that were obviously really wanting you to come play for them. And there was about, I don't know if it was 8 or 10 or 9, doesn't matter how many days, but it was a lengthy delay. What was going on during that time, DJ? And was it you were locked into Baylor, but you wanted to? I think you wanted to go to a trip because you had committed to a trip. To kind of take us through that 8 to 10 days before you signed.
Yes, sir. So I already had all my visits planned out. I kind of had everything set out. And, as a guy, and when I came up to Baylor, man, I just fell in love with it. Like I couldn't leave without letting them know that I wanted to be here, and I just fell in love with the place. And me coming here and just like feeling the family atmosphere is something I've really never felt before, and I've been in a lot of places, seen a lot of facilities, facilities here are top notch in the country. But, I already had a visit planned, with Ole Miss and I just wanted to kind of just to get more clarity on the decision as well. I already knew where I wanted to be. I wanted to be a Baylor Bear, but just I've already had this visit planned and scheduled, so might as well go take it and get even more clarity on my decision as well as it did.
Did the Baylor staff try to say, hey, no, we really want you to cancel that trip to Oxford?
Yeah, they were definitely supportive of, me going out, weighing my options and things like that. I'm pretty sure internally they didn't want me to go, but they didn't tell me that, like, really. But, but I was, they knew how much I fell in love with the place when I came up there.
You know that sometimes the last place you go is the one that's going to put the biggest press on you. And Ole Miss is coming off a great year. How hard was that? Or just no matter what they were going to tell you, what they offered you, no matter what, you were locked in?
Yeah, I just kind of, I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I went up there, checked it out, and it made me feel even more clear on my decision of becoming a Baylor Bear.
DJ Lagway with me, Baylor quarterback on 365 Sports. Your grandmother's name is on the elementary school that you went to when you were younger. How cool is that you were going to that school?
Yeah, actually, I didn't actually go to the elementary. It was they built it in August of 2022. So
okay.
Being able to see that though is pretty honoring, and all the tremendous work that my grandmother has done in my community is truly a blessing. So yeah.
And then your mom's on the school board at Willis ISD. We know your father and what he's done. To have parents like that in your life, what have they meant to you besides the obvious?
Yeah, just the way they've been there for me, through the ups and through the downs. And it's been days that I was crying on the phone, talking to them about certain different things, and just them being there for me. It doesn't matter how I perform on the field or how my day went. I can just always know that they're going to be there for me through thick and thin.
McDonald's? Yeah, what's this rumor about you liking McDonald's, and you're going to tell me that you really don't?
McDonald's?
Yeah, Coach. Yeah. I got Coach Miller. We were on the phone or texting back and forth.
I had to stay away from that McDonald's. But back in the day, back in the day with my teammates, I used to take everybody to McDonald's. And like that's where we used to go throw. We'll probably go to like the community pool or something, and then go to McDonald's, and that's what we did all summer, in high school and things like that. But definitely now you gotta stay away from that McDonald's. I've been eating really clean and really healthy, so yeah, it's funny that you bring that up.
Yeah, he brought Big Mac or double what quarter pounder and cheese. What was your go-to then?
I used to get like the sweet and spicies, the super spicy burgers. I used to get like two of those, with a large, large Powerade. You can't make me reminiscent right now.
I'm not. Well, no, you got to just take that out of your mind. I'm not allowed to go there either. I would get just absolutely pummeled if I was ever caught going back to McDonald's. DJ, what do you as a quarterback? You throw the deep ball. You will, stretch the field. There are times when a quarterback, even if everything's right, can throw a pick or not throw a complete pass, and it's not always on the quarterback. What is the part of your game that you feel is, I don't know about a weakness, but something that has to improve?
Say definitely my immediate game and short game, being able to be more consistent in that. And I feel like the VR has definitely helped tremendously, with just getting to my second and third reads, working quick through things like that. So, and even the deep ball as well. It's like this whole, I'm just excited to just be out there. Like I was telling some of the guys, like 3 weeks ago was my first time really like doing a workout and since my freshman year. So I just, it was just a fun time. I'm just excited. I'm like a kid in the candy shop right now. I'm happy, smiling. Like this is because I've seen it like not happen. Like I've been on the bike while my guys are working out and missing the whole off season. So for me to just be out here and working and developing, it means everything to me because reps are priceless.
Yeah, there's bumps and bruises, right? Playing the game, bumps, bruises, aches and pains, muscle, ligaments, and whatever else. What would you say you are physically right now, health-wise?
I'm in the best shape of my life, man. This is the best I've felt since high school. So I'm like, the strength staff and nutrition staff and even the health staff. They've done a tremendous job having a plan for me, and I'm so thankful for those guys, man. It's been really, really good, and I'm just thankful, man. It's my body's feeling really good right now.
You seem to be happy. You really do. You got that. Well, you have a great smile, by the way, and for the most part, that's all I've seen along the way. Were there times because of the pressure of college football and because you being a 5-star and playing at Florida and the recruitment with Billy Napier that football wasn't fun?
Yeah, no, it was never that it wasn't fun. It was frustrating, not being able to, to be out there and practice and play with my teammates. That was the hardest thing for me. I say the off season, going into my sophomore year, having all the hoopla, all the hype and all that never really fed into me. It never really got it. I just wanted to play football and wanted to develop, and I missed those important developmental reps in practice. And that's why I'm just like, I'm so excited. It's like a blessing, because I know, and it can be taken away like that, and it was. So I understand that every rep matters and everything matters. Every little thing matters because it can be taken away like that. So that's kind of what I've been like every time I've been having little conversations with guys, and being able to tell them, like even the younger guys, man, every little thing matters. You got to take care of your body. You got to do the little things. So, yeah.
Because of the rules in college football, is too much and it depends if you look at it from the media or as a player, coach, administrator, even as a fan. It's too much made of the NIL and money because that's something the NCAA held back on, as you know, for years. But your dad never had that opportunity. Nobody did back in the day, up until 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. But now it's about the portal, and it seems to be about money and not about the game. How would you explain that?
Yeah, me personally, can't speak on a broad scale, but me personally, it's all about the ball for me. I kind of I just want to get developed. I know I got a lot of development left in my game, and I just know that with reps and practice and strength and conditioning and all those things, I'm just focused, so dialed in and focused on how can I get better each and every day. That's my biggest focus right now. I don't have any social media. I don't really know what's going on the outside. You telling me about the Trinidad thing was the news to me. Which is,
oh, really? You did not know that, huh?
No, I've just been this is all inside the building. That's all I'm focused on right now. I got to learn a lot of guys. I got to know their stories. I got to know their why, so we can go out there and achieve the goals that we have to achieve. So yeah.
Was a hell of a deal for him. He's a great player at Ole Miss. Last thing, you keep talking about the teammates and getting to know them. There's some you did not know their name or anything. What's that like to kind of soak that in, marinate information about the guys that are going to have your back and also you have theirs?
For sure, my biggest thing coming in right away is not trying to be the vocal leader or, something like that. My biggest thing was just come in every single day and just work, and like let that be an example, and just continue to work hard and continue to do those things and eventually on start becoming more vocal. But, for me, honestly, it was a blessing to be like we had a leadership council voting thing, and for me to be voted on there as only being there for 2 weeks was meant a lot to me. It was a blessing to see that my teammates and the guys around me looked at me as that, but that's my biggest thing right now. It's just showing the guys that I'm willing to work hard, and it's nothing that I'm going to ask them to do that I wouldn't do. So, yeah.
What have you learned about Dave Aranda so far?
Oh, yeah. I love Coach Aranda, man. He's great. He's real down to earth, man, and he loves, his players. Something that's unique to me is, he's always around during these times. He has all the coaches around, and you're seeing them throughout the day. You'll walk and you'll see him. You have a little conversation with them. It's normal. Building that relationship with them has been great. So, yeah.
When you first met him, was he, because he's different, and I don't mean that in a negative. He's very cerebral. He kind of looks at things different. I'm not smart enough to sometimes understand what he's saying, but he's pretty deep, isn't he?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely, having conversations with him is my freshman year of high school, and talking.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And, giving me the opportunity to play college football, being the first school here. So, I owe him everything, and I'm just excited to go out there and compete for him and just go out there and leave it all on the field for him.
I asked you about the parents, and this is it, DJ. Thank you very much. Baylor's quarterback, DJ Lagway. What did your father tell you when it became, again, a re-recruitment of DJ Lagway? And a lot of people said it makes sense to go to Baylor, the legacy and all that, close to Willis High School. What did he ever say to you about it?
Yeah, he just wanted me to make the best decision for me, and not looking at all that and things like that. And so I feel like, being here is the best decision for me, and my family supported any decision I decided to make. This is my decision, and I'm blessed and thankful to be here, man.
We have a co-host who's a Florida State alum, and if you would have known that, you may not have done this interview. But he said, "How are you now?" There he is. He said, go ahead, Paul. Go ahead. They're going to ruin the interview now.
I just want to know, now that you don't have to wear jean shorts in public to fit in, that you're here in Waco and that you've washed off the stink of Gainesville, Florida.
Oh my
Do you
God.
feel like more of a complete human being?
Is that a question?
Yeah, I tease. I grew up in Fort Myers. I went to FSU. I have so many Gator friends. I almost just wanted to say that on video just so I could send it to them and tease them about it. But yeah, happy that you're here in Waco, DJ. And look, I know that's a great place too. It's a really cool place, and the last 2 years had to be a war one for you. But I did have to ask just so I could tease my friends about it.
For sure, yes, sir.
Okay, he's not answering that, Paul. He's not
No,
going.
I know he's not going to answer that. He shouldn't answer that.
No, he
I'm
shouldn't.
probably wrong about it, but I had to.
You should be ashamed of yourself, but I knew you were going to sneak in. That's why. Hey, DJ, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the spring and football practice and all that. Thanks for your time, and look forward to shaking your hand.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Likewise.
DJ Lagway on 365 Sports.
Yes, sir. Sickle.
Thank you.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, a affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
The time is now. It's time for a new ride at the New Year New Ride Savings Event at Richard Carr GMC Buick Cadillac.
Sierra blends the premium interior with the muscle of a true work truck, built to handle the job and look good doing it. It's why GMC Sierra is the best truck on the road. During our New Year New Ride sales event, qualified buyers can save $13,000 on a Sierra. Drive one home today for just $41,390.
Call now, get here now, or log on now for the New Year New Ride Savings Event at Richard Carr.
Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
This is 365 Sports.
Hope you enjoyed the DJ Lagway interview. Young man seems to have everything going well, and like he said, he's never been healthier or hasn't been this healthy as he is right now. It's been a couple of years since he was at Willis High School, so that'll be obviously one of the biggest stories for Baylor when they do get into spring drills and into eventually the season next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that we got to get him, and I hope before his time's over we can get him here in the studio to do a proper sit-down and just kind of hang out a little bit. That would be a lot of fun, so maybe we can make that happen prior to the season sometime this summer or afterwards, depending on what all happens over the course of the fall. But, yeah, I mean, it's exciting for that program to have a quarterback that can get you excited about the team because – without him, there's nothing to be excited about, quite frankly. I mean, yes, you can get Joe Klanderman's the new DC, and people are excited about that to some degree, but, like, is that going to change their fortunes from the last couple of years to all of a sudden competing for a championship? Probably not, right? So I think you desperately needed some good news that wasn't just your typical transactions. Like, everybody's in the portal. Everybody's losing and gaining guys. Everybody's getting a new 4-star and losing a 4-star. Everybody, like, there's nothing you're doing or we're doing that was uniquely different than the most basic level of every other team in America. So, yeah, you were in the portal like everybody else. You had to make some coaching changes like everybody else. None of those, like, splashy in any way. So you're just kind of like, what's the meat to chew on with this team and get excited about? And I don't feel like there really was anything until the DJ Lagway news, and that's why that was so important to finalize that and get that done because, man, the moment it looked like that might not go through, like, dude, you talk about, like, dire straits. It would have been really difficult for Dave Aranda to polish up any excitement if not for the DJ Lagway move. So I think it was a must that they landed him, and I'm excited to see him play. He seems like a good young man and obviously very talented. Hopefully healthy. That'll be a big key, but yeah, he was pretty good a couple years ago, and then last year, obviously a different story. So we'll see what version we get of DJ Lagway, but he seems hungry, and obviously there's a lot of pride involved with his father and the Baylor ties, and I'm excited to see him.
He did say it, and again, I think that Garrett or somebody put it up on one of the shorts on Twitter that he hasn't felt this good health-wise in a long, long time, how frustrated he was. He couldn't do a lot of stuff in the offseason. So, yeah, no, and I asked him about the delay from when he committed to when he signed, because like people were on eggshells on that. And I appreciated his answer on how he did what he mentioned about that time period.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have done at quarterback.
Dude, they would have been absolutely screwed.
It would, we talked about it when it was going on. Down the list was really just was not good. It was going to get somebody like Nico Marchiol, who, at best is a part-time starter. That would have been, it would have been kind of like that first year of Matt Rule where, this guy plays 3 games, this guy plays 4 games, this guy plays 3 games. And then ultimately it's like, well, might as well just let Charlie Brewer let it go.
Yeah, and among those guys is a guy who's 5'11" and was All-State or something, but I mean, it's not like your prototypical quarterback that's probably going to make it from start to finish. As we saw with Charlie Brewer, I mean, he was just he was just a unique dude, but man, he took a boatload of punishment, and they were able to still navigate and have some success with him. But yeah, I mean, you would have been lucky to get a Charlie Brewer at that point with the portal being as rated as it was. So yeah, the Lagway thing falling through, thankfully that's not something we have to talk about. But yeah, I'm excited for him. He seems excited. He seems like he's feeling good. And so, yeah, thumbs up and good luck to him.
All right, we're going to, here in a second, discuss the Big 12 weekend in basketball, look at the pecking order and also the games coming up this weekend. But Kelvin Sampson, Craig, had a question, or he was asked about the new floor, the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City?
Yeah, so, earlier this week, most of you watching this remember that there was this little tease of a big announcement by the Big 12, and really the tease wasn't like they were out there going, just wait. They weren't polishing it up like that. It was Brett Yormark at a game talking to the commentators at the table and saying, hey, we got some exciting news, and then, I can't say too much. And quite frankly, if he had said nothing and they just dropped the announcement about this new floor they're going to be using for the Big 12 tournament, I think everybody would be like, all right, cool, whatever, and maybe think it's dumb or maybe don't think it's that big of a deal. But I know Ari was kind of pushing back on us a little bit about what did you expect? And it's like, well, dude, you can't just have a blank check and expect me to write only $50 on it. You give me a blank check for my imagination, and you're then all of a sudden there's people around the Big 12 like Ari saying, dude, this is a game, this is great. Well, people are going to start running wild with their imagination. So, that turned into whatever it turned into. But the announcement ultimately became this high-tech court, this glass court that they're going to use, which I think is cool. It's just that I don't think that's something that needed to be teased at all. So I think Yormark just spoke too soon. That's all that was. But anyway, so they're using this glass court. And it looks like it could be pretty cool, but Kelvin Sampson was asked about it, and it's the ASB glass floor, state-of-the-art, full LED video floor that will debut at the men's and women's Big 12 basketball tournaments at T-Mobile in Kansas City. And there's all sorts of cool things they can do with this, but Kelvin Sampson asked about it, said that Brett Yormark reached out to him in the fall about the new glass video floor. And his comment was, I think there's a lot of curiosity about it. There's a lot of what's it going to look like, but we've been playing on a floor that looked like somebody shedded a snakeskin for the last 2 years, so why not play on this floor? But I applaud Brett Yormark for continually pushing the envelope, for establishing new boundaries, for creating a perception of the Big 12 that we're not afraid of new ideas. And I think as you get older and whatever you do, being able to evolve is being able to accept that things will change. And sometimes you just need to be on the cutting edge, and that's not always a bad thing. And yeah, like they got the grayish court, the snakeskin, I guess as he refers to it. I remember when they made a big to-do, not a huge to-do, but I remember when that was like, oh, look at this court we're unveiling, and there was very mixed reaction to that. So clearly he was not a fan, or as much of a fan. But I'm with him. That's where my mind is. Like I can't believe they didn't follow up on, my emotions didn't change when I saw what the announcement actually was. And ultimately, while I didn't think it was worth whatever social media was trying to maybe hope that it was going to become, when the announcement was made, I was like, okay, that's cool. It doesn't need any build-up. But I am with him totally on the just trying stuff. Like, just try and see if it's cool and see if it works. And look, if they get a few extra dollars, well, I'm sure a big part of this, like, because here's the thing, guys. This thing might be really cool, but if it's filled with advertisements.
It's going to be filled with
advertisements. Well, I know, but like to what degree, though? Like, let's not forget that's also part of this. So it's not just like for the look. It's also how many ads can we slap on this bad boy and have changed in the middle of a dribble. But, yeah, let's see what the execution looks like. I'm with him on that, and I'm with him on it does you no good, especially as you get older, to just be like, well, we've always done it this way, so let's just stay here. No, you got to, especially if you're not – or if you're in a position like they are, you need to take some risks. You need to do things a little bit differently. You just need to do something different from the status quo. And doing a different court's not the most rebellious thing in the world, but it's just trying something new. And I might not always agree with everything that Yormark does, but I will always respect that he's trying to do stuff constantly to better the league, whether it be its image or perception or whatever. And I think that's also advertisement related here, but yeah, I'm with Sampson that he's trying new stuff, but he did get a little bit of a dig in on the last couple of years' court, which was really funny.
The first thing that Smokey told me in our first meeting we had was the way we've always done it gets you beat. And so you got to be – I've always thought about that. So if you're – you got to change things up. So
yeah, and again, I remember putting just one second. I put a paper on my door. I said this is what we used to do, and I just a big X. I mean, things need to change. There was a reason for that at that time too.
Well,
with why I was there, and Paul, why you also got much more involved in doing a lot of stuff too.
I think that continues to apply because we could be doing the same exact show we've always done, but sometimes you need to start doing things differently just for your own sanity and just for the sake of not staying stagnant. And so you see us with a new studio, like no different from them trying a new court and just seeing like what it can do and where it can take you. And it just feels better too. Like it's like get new uniforms or something, right? Like you don't just stick with the same thing unless you're Texas or Michigan or Penn State. Michigan's had some alternates actually,
but their alternates are all throwbacks for the most part.
Right.
But they sometimes you do get it right the first time. Texas got it right the first time.
Sometimes you don't need to change it.
You don't need to change. Like what can we if you went into the meeting with Texas in their uniforms, like what can we do to change this and enhance it? It would just be a bunch of people sitting in a room going.
Nothing.
Right. Like, well, so if you're the Big Ten in football, you don't need to change the field.
Yeah.
Like you don't. That's not a concern of yours. But if you're the Big 12 in football, you may go like, how could we do something to change the field and maybe get more people to watch it? Now, there's a lot less options doing a football field, obviously, but they're changing the court again because they've already done it once. But yeah, Kelvin Sampson. I think there's a lot of curiosity about it. There's a lot of what's it going to look like, but we've been playing on a floor that looked like somebody shedded a snakeskin for the last 2 years, so why not play on this floor? And I applaud Brett Yormark for continually pushing the envelope, for establishing new boundaries, for creating a perception of the Big 12 that we're not afraid of new ideas.
I got to tell you, I see some of the clips from his radio show that he does, and I could listen to him for a long, long time. I felt that way about Saban for the longest time, and he's one of those, too, that there's no bullshit. Doesn't mean he can't at times get on one thing or the other. What you hear is exactly who he is, what he means. He's not trying to play mind games with anybody. And one hell of a. He was finally put up for the Naismith Hall of Fame as far as the finalist, which comes out here. That should be coming out here pretty soon. Now let's see. There's one college football note I'd like to use. Sacramento State, which is trying to make that run right up the ladder, and sometimes, you got to just take your time. Paul Catalina, they're looking for a new conference. They're looking at, you have North Dakota State, now the Mountain West. What's Sac State trying to do?
The SAC and the MAC are trying to get together. $15 million is what is reported to be their entry fee into the MAC. The MAC is expected to vote on this very soon, getting in there. So they'd be a football-only member of the MAC, but as you know, I guess this is the time to do it after North Dakota State $12.5 million to get into the Mountain West earlier this week, and then now Sacramento State trying to get in. And they've got all this money that they say they have, and so they're trying to get in to the FBS level and move up. But the MAC would be it, and they are definitely not in Middle America, Sacramento State, but that is the conference they are trying to get into.
Yeah, I mean, they are doing the SMU, the North Dakota State playbook of buy your way in and up a level, right? And I think that Sacramento State's been very aggressive now for going on about a year, maybe 2 years at this point, to try to raise their profile. And they got a president and others involved that are trying to do seemingly everything they can to be relevant and to be included into whatever we're talking about here in the next few years. So, entry fee expected to be more than $15 million. They've been in discussions for more than a week now, and MAC executives reaching the point of a final decision. Multiple sources told Yahoo, I guess according to multiple sources that talked to Yahoo, and then a lot of people at Sacramento State, those in the MAC, said they don't want to comment because they have a standard policy of not discussing expansion. So no more quotes on that. But, you just saw North Dakota State last week go to the Mountain West, and we talked about at the time of, like, the portal's closing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to get on board this flight before it takes off, this flight to FBS, then you might need to make your move and go to the extremes to try to make that move happen. Now, there's a separate conversation to have of, like, but what if the move is like only the top 2 leagues or the top 3 or 4 leagues, and then you did all this for really nothing ultimately, potentially, but Sac State willing to take that risk because they feel like it's going to be beneficial to them. And I mean, I said this, I think, a few weeks ago, but I've been following college sports for a long time. I've heard more about Sacramento State in the last year than my entire life. Like, I could point them out on the map because I know where Sacramento is, but I could tell you basically nothing about most of their history, if anything. And I'd have to sit there and think of, like, is that a real – yeah, it is. But I'd have to think about it for a second. And now here they are where they've just have headlines galore for the last year because they've been so aggressive. So, yeah, it looks like they're going to be joining the MAC. It makes absolutely no sense geographically. But what has really in realignment recently, other than what the SEC did, quite frankly, with OU and Texas, everything else has kind of been – the California schools are going to go play on the East Coast, and the West schools are going to go play in the Central, and it's been all over the place. So, Sac State looks like they're closing in on this move they've been trying to make, and part of this is, well, why don't they go join the conference that makes sense? Because that conference doesn't want them, like the Mountain West. Why don't they stay geographically? Well, because the conference out there don't want them, and so this is their opportunity, I guess, to make this move, but it will increase the travel budget. That's for damn sure.
Well, yeah, and there are Eastern time zone teams like Buffalo and
like
UMass are in that league. So most of the teams are in Michigan and Ohio, but they're going to be border to ocean to ocean now in the MAC.
Well, I think it's for football only, so that needs to be a point that's mentioned as well, is that it would just be football. And also it does need to be said about Sacramento State, because they didn't have the options that they were looking for. Like, they did not want to be still in the Big Sky, obviously, so they moved to the Big West. But, like, what they're looking for from a football perspective, you can't just go pick it like a vending machine, right? So, again, if the Mountain West doesn't want you, well then, okay, you expand your search, and the MAC seems to be the one that they hit on that makes sense for both parties, because the MAC now gets several $1 million and expands their reach, if you will, and Sacramento State obviously is willing to throw a lot of money on the table to get what they want here. So, the rest of the sports would remain with the Big West, so this will be just like with Northern Illinois, where it's a football specific thing, and that's where we are with Sacramento State, I believe.
All right, so there's that note. I believe, are we going to use the Bill Moose audio clips? Do you want to do those now or look at the big? Okay, we'll do one more college football note. And this is Bill Moose, a longtime administrator, was the AD at Nebraska during that transition when they were dysfunctional. He was going to come in and maybe turn them around. And it was about the same time when Scott Frost was red hot as the head coach at UCF. And, I had no idea, other than the fact Nebraska's been pretty bad for about a decade, maybe 15 years. And you had to wonder, what is going on? Trev Alberts left. He's a former star. Frost did not work out. So is this Bill Moose talking about Scott Frost? He's on the unbeaten, really good team at UCF. And I always thought the background was he's flying to Lincoln after UCF plays, and he's trying to do this right. They got a bowl game with Auburn or whoever it was. And Bill Moose on the interview with Scott Frost.
You had basically an offer on the table to Chip Kelly. Almost thought you'd kind of had it worked out. I'm curious. Expand on it as much as you're comfortable. What made you think maybe Frost wasn't ready, and what made you think that Chip Kelly would be the guy that maybe the best fit for Nebraska?
First of all, and I want to go on record saying that I think Scott Frost should have been the head football coach at Nebraska, but not at that time. I don't think he was ready, and it wasn't fair to him, and it really wasn't fair to the Nebraska fans and how great they are. And then one thing after another, once I hired him, went haywire from the first game being rained out and then on into COVID and injuries and everything. But Nebraska, Adam, and what a great player you were and all that. And there's a lot of people that have their hands into things, and it was almost like if I didn't hire Scott after having that great year that he did, and he ended up going to Florida or Tennessee, who were camped out in his front yard, I would have probably been toast. As far as Chip Kelly, I knew Chip from my days in Oregon, and of course part of the irony of this is much of what Scott learned in the coaching profession, he learned from Chip. Chip was out of work. He'd been fired by the 49ers and was working at ESPN.
Okay.
Oh, that was the end of that clip?
But
okay.
There was a time we sat down, Matt Davison, who caught that famous pass against Missouri when they were unbeaten and won the 97 title, was a part of the athletic department, former player. And Scott Frost, it was an interview, and Bill Moose, I believe it was his wife that was going to be in on the interview. And all of a sudden he's told that Matt Davison's going to be in this, and he was like, this is the Scott Frost interview. And what happened was that they left the interview, and his wife looked at him and said, he's not ready for this. And that's one of the things that was the background on that particular story.
And clearly, neither side was ready for that partnership. And if Scott Frost, they can point the fingers all they want, but he's back where he probably should have stayed for a couple more years, and then maybe all this doesn't happen, and there's not what is really bad blood between Scott Frost and his alma mater right now.
Well, and it's because when he went to UCF, after he left, and we had him on during the Big 12 media days, he made the comment. He goes, he was uncomfortable there. I'm glad to be back at UCF. He was a mess in many, many ways. Here's another comment. This is the book that Bill Moose has written. We'll give you the name of the title here in just a second.
And then it had at the end, you play your final game, I think was our 8th game, is determined at the end of the year. Ours came up to be Rutgers.
Yep, that's right.
Garrett Classy, who was my senior deputy, one of the two that I brought in, was my liaison to football. He comes in my office and says, Scott doesn't want to play the Rutgers game, and I went nuts.
Yeah.
I busted my butt to get the schedule, and we're going to play it. Well, we go play it, and we win. We could get into a bowl game, and we desperately needed that. And I got word that Scott had a vote after the Rutgers game. Yep. The players didn't want to play in a bowl game. I again went straight to the roof and turned left. Get him up here. And I said, Scott, I've got us in one of 3 bowls. I can't remember what they are now. And he goes, well, we took a vote. And I said, I would have given my left leg to have played in a bowl game. He goes, would you come down and talk to my team? I go, no, I will not. That's your team. You go talk to him. And he went down and called me that night at home and said, hey, we'll go play in a bowl, Bill. You made a great case. And I said, too late, Scott. All the bowls are filled now.
Yeah, it's just they didn't want to play. He had set them up. And the fact that, by the way, and then, of course, that's part of that long drought where they weren't part of a bowl game for quite some time. The dysfunction is amazing. You know, Matt Rule the other day, and again, he has not done as well as everyone expected, although they've been to a couple of bowl games. Small steps I got. He said that there was a lot more to do than just get football players and teams together. And that also might be trying to delay some of the expectations, because I think he expected to win quicker. But my God, that place was a mess.
Yeah, and y'all are leaving a lot of context out about the coaching search and everything. Like, they wanted Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly takes the UCLA job, and so then Scott Frost is there and available, and they basically were kind of forced into hiring him almost in a way, although according to Moose, he didn't even really have interest in the job initially. So Frost didn't seem all that enthusiastic about it, and then it goes into, the interview where he's like not shaved. He's like in regular clothes. He's got Matt Davison with him. It's just like very unprofessional and not what you would expect of like a high profile coaching interview, and especially somebody who's from the university and you would think would have like a level of excitement and respect for all of it. And instead sounds like he was like, "You're lucky I'm here," basically, is what it almost sounds like. Or he didn't care where he was, quite frankly, whether it was Lincoln, Orlando, or wherever. That interview did not go well, and he still got the job regardless, and that turned into what it turned into. Strickland at Florida, when Chip Kelly takes the UCLA job, Frost didn't do a great job with Florida either, because he was of interest to them. And so then they eventually are unimpressed enough to where they go and they hire Scott Strickland instead. Dan Mullen. So, they wanted Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly takes the UCLA job. They interview Frost. They are not impressed, and they pivot and they hire Dan Mullen, and the rest is history there, because Strickland and Mullen had the background in Mississippi State. So that was interesting to hear. It just sounds very dysfunctional. Another part was that Scott Frost came in and was apparently made it clear like the state of the program was not up to snuff, or that he was kind of shocked by the state of the program at that time, which sounds like they were probably shocked by the state of him as well at that point in time. But it sounds like a marriage that made sense, but not like where the two were at the moment, that they should have gotten married about 5 years later and it might have worked out really well, or 10 years later, and maybe it would have been a nice long thing. But at that point in time, they did not need to be getting married, but they kind of almost were pressured into, in some ways, doing it too early, instead of it being him proving himself for a bit longer and maybe maturing like he needed to, which he now apparently has. It was interesting to get that insight. I think he's done a great job of getting all these quotes out there, because everybody's been talking about him all week. But the part about the Big 12 and returning to the Big 12 was as interesting as anything.
Yep. Talking to Bowlesby a lot.
He talked to Bob Bowlesby, tried to get Nebraska, or talked about getting Nebraska back into the Big 12. Colorado was going to join them, and they were going to come back to the Big 12. It basically been told that there's a good chance you'll get a full share when you come back. And who knows how history is different if they would have ended up doing that. Now, a lot of people say, if they would have done that, it would have been moronic, because look at the Big Ten now. But if you suddenly put Nebraska in the Big 12, what does that do with Texas and Oklahoma, and how does all that look years later? We'll never know. But there was a back channel conversation that was very real about Nebraska potentially returning, and ultimately they did not, obviously. And in hindsight, probably the best decision. But it is funny to me to see the money pointed out of it's like $80 million versus $40 million or whatever. It's double, whatever it is. And so I guess, you definitely would take the money, but I mean, has it really done them that much good?
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather have money and suck rather than having $40 million and you're pretty good and you maybe cheat, and they'll never be left behind because of their history. But I still think they made the right move. I know people go, they're recruiting in Texas. That's part of it, but they are making a ton of money, and the only way they're going to come back is if they continue to have that kind of money to build a roster.
Yeah, I mean they've got money, but they're nowhere better off as a football program at all.
They've been irrelevant.
Exactly my point. That's they're making a lot of money. Cool. So is Rutgers. So is Indiana up until 2 years ago. They were just a team that was out there, and now they've obviously taken that money and ran with it. But yeah, Nebraska's got more money, but they're not any better off from a competition standpoint.
Yeah, and I don't even know at that time if they would have been much more than just middle of the tier in the Big 12 either. Had they come back with Texas and OU and K-State and teams that were pretty good.
I'm not at all saying they made the wrong choice. They made the right choice, because if you're just going to be mid anyways, you might as well be mid with $80 million versus mid with $40 million.
And like for all the teams that did that, I remember here when the Big 12, everybody kind of thought Nebraska would do well because when they left it, things were okay. Like, oh, well, Nebraska could, I think, at least around here, people thought, well, okay, well, that makes sense for Nebraska. The Big 10, really at the time it was like Ohio State, Michigan. Like they could be Wisconsin, who was the third best team at the time. That's what everybody thought. Yeah. And then, of course, things kind of hit the wall for them. But as far as like where the Big 12 goes, everybody's like, well, A&M's just going to be 8-4 in that league. With 3 times as much money and no Texas at the time. Like that, like, are you telling them like, hey, right now you live in a little small town in North Dakota and it's frozen, but we're going to pay you 3 times as much. You don't have to change anything about your life, anything about how many things you accomplish, but now you're going to live in Rome in this beautiful mansion that oversees like a vineyard. And you're like, oh, okay, great. So it's just how that thing. But then you find out when you get there that like, well, we can be at least the same. Nebraska has not been the same. A&M's been exactly the same. You kind of are who you are, depending on the money because of leadership. So yeah, they've made a lot of money, but the whole thing with Nebraska just goes back to Frank Solich, and then every decision after that was not completely the right one.
Yeah, the Crab Creek Chronicles is the name of the book. I think it's an audio book. I tried to order it. I couldn't order it yet. From the wheat fields to the ball fields and beyond. It's like several chapters. Big, thick, hardback book, but a couple of chapters on the time in Lincoln. And when Nebraska was going for that coaching search, it was I remember that time. I was like, damn, yeah, they're going to get Scott Frost because it looked like he was a brilliant guy. And it did not in any way work out.
There's one part of the Chip Kelly thing that I don't think I mentioned was that, according to what I remember earlier this week, that he not only did Chip Kelly have interest from other places, but I think Moose commented that the reaction to Kelly wasn't great amongst the Nebraska people. So like that was part of it, was that like, okay, you guys don't want Kelly. Clearly you're giving me negative vibes on him. Where do you pivot? And there's all these other schools interested in Kelly, and obviously UCLA gets him, but there's only so many options there and other teams looking for guys. And so then you have this pressure of the hometown kid, but meanwhile you're totally unimpressed by how he's shown up to do this interview, but you just have this, well, let's do it and see what happens. And we saw what happened, and it wasn't good. I don't know what he would have done differently in hindsight. I don't know if he gets into that in the book of like, well, I should have just sat on it and then gone and hired some other guy. But, clearly that was not the right timing for the reunion between Frost and Nebraska.
For one that was asked in the chat room, that his first year, Scott Frost, their first game got canceled in the middle of the game because of horrible lightning and weather. And then they played Colorado. Paul, you and I were in San Antonio going to cover a Baylor football game, and they led that game pretty much from start to finish, and then at the end there was a critical play. Adrian Martinez, I think eventually, was it Adrian? I think it was Adrian that got hurt. Great player, great quarterback.
Does Adrian Martinez get hurt? Yeah, all the time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because they also had another Martinez back when they were really good in the late 2010s. Late 2000s. But
Martinez was fun, but it felt like he got hurt.
But Adrian Martinez, kind of like in a way, he was much more physical than Dylan Raiola is, but he was spectacular. But there was always something, a fumble, whatever. Okay, enough of that.
Part of the reason was because he wasn't big enough to play the way he did.
Martinez?
Yes,
he's a pretty big boy,
but he wasn't built. Wasn't built the way he was too wiry.
Frost, that was the guy. He was a San Diego kid, all-American type player. He got him to come. It looked like it was the perfect match. It was a disaster. All right, the Big 12 basketball this weekend. These are the ranked teams, bangers. Kansas at Iowa State in Ames, 12 o'clock tomorrow on ABC. That's where Paul will be watching.
That'll be some insane basketball. Iowa State favored at home by 6.5.
Yeah, but Darren Peterson, good to go, according to Bill Self.
Okay.
So, okay. Darren Peterson, good to go. You only will believe it when 22 rolls out there on the court.
He's going to play even if his ankle was broken after all the stuff going on.
Is this the new Jesus, who was the
Cam Rising?
Yes, the camera every week or every game. You're like, is he playing? Is he not playing? I guess it is. It is that. It is that. He's the Cam Rising. Other than he hasn't played 17 years in college football.
Other than his leg is totally intact.
Right. Yeah.
Cam Rising's wasn't, and they like. Kyle Whittingham just didn't want to tell anybody that.
But it is that where it's like a game-to-game report now on Darren Peterson. But, yeah, he's playing, so that's great news for the Jayhawks, and that ought to be a hell of a scene at Hilton Coliseum tomorrow. That's for sure.
All right, there's one other banger. Texas Tech at top-ranked Arizona coming off the loss Big Monday against KU. This is one of those testers. They're at home. We know they're really good, and Texas Tech is good. Got a great roster. Arizona has to stop any of that little, like paper cut and win this game and move on. But Texas Tech, that's a late game, a 5:30 game tomorrow night.
Not playing their best basketball right now, Tech, but that changes in a day. Well, you could, if you said, okay, well, the last week, the 2 weeks haven't been their best. All right, it's the Big 12. It changes in a day. It changes in a day. This guy feels better than he did the other day. Whatever problems he had with his shots, better than it was. This matchup is better than everybody thought it would be. This guy's cold. I think that should be a fantastic game. I expect it to go right down to the wire.
Well, Arizona, we all suspected they would drop a game before it was all said and done, and they did. But now they're entering this gauntlet where he just played the number 9 team in the country. You lost. Now you're about to play the number 16. Then you'll play the number 22, and then you'll play the number 3. Those are your next 3 games. Then you'll have Baylor in Waco, which is whatever. And then you'll follow that up with number 9 Kansas and number 5 Iowa State. So the next few games for Arizona, who is number 1, is number 16 tomorrow, number 22 at home, at number 3, skip over Baylor, number 9 at home, number 5 at home. So it's going to be a crazy close to the season for Arizona. They will be battle tested. That is for damn sure. They probably already are, but they certainly will be after the next couple weeks, because that's a pretty insane close to the schedule, and that'll be a rowdy scene there in
Tucson.
I was like, I know Tempe's not right.
McHale Memorial Center.
Yeah, no, Tucson. Yeah. I was like, which T is it? Tucson tomorrow, because Texas Tech fans will show up as well for that.
One or two other teams that are ranked. Houston at home against K-State. My God. Jerome Tang, they ran up and down the stairs of Bramwood's, right, for a couple of days. Every inch of that arena.
I wonder if they had ESPN on while they did that, like up on the Jumbotron, and that way while they were running, you could see PTI absolutely roasting Jerome Tang, saying,
they did.
Who picked the players?
Yeah.
These players that you would say don't deserve to wear the uniform, who picked the players? You've been there for 4 years, and it's a valid point.
The funniest meme I saw was the Dow is over 50,000, guys.
All right, couple of ranked team, BYU at home. 22nd ranked BYU after the win in Waco. Will host Colorado. You would think that's going to give them a couple wins in a row as they try to right the ship after at one point being 5-5 in the conference.
Yeah, Tad Boyle not as he was maybe a little bit more
so much more mature.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, he didn't call out his players like Tang did. He didn't say these guys don't deserve to wear the uniform, and they won't be after this season. Yeah. He didn't go to he took all the blame on his own shoulders, so it was two similar rants, except for it was just handled completely differently. It was both disappointment and frustration, but one guy took it all on himself, and the other guy spread it out and ruffled a lot of people's feathers.
The thing is that Tang is probably not completely wrong, but where he's wrong is you got to you just have to go this is on everybody here. This isn't
But when he said this, he said that they won't be wearing the uniform next year. He may not be there next year. I can't imagine.
Well, there's the big. I know when we talked about this yesterday or the day before, we're talking about the ending's inevitable. The problem, if there is a hiccup, is the buyout. Yeah, the buyout is so large that at some point you just say screw it and you buy them out just to change the page. And so if they're desperate enough to go put together 15, 18, I think it's 18. $18 million, and I don't think it drops that much after the year's over. So if you got some donors that want to go pony that up just to change the culture and the look and feel of the program, then okay, you can do that. But yeah, you're going to have some people pony up some money to do that, because he does have a very large buyout. So that might be the reason why he could stick around a little longer. But man, it's hard to imagine they're going to be able to go too much further down the road, as toxic as it's starting to get.
Now, for people who think that he doesn't, like, they don't fire him and then write him a check for $18.1 million, it will be paid out over several years. They just have to figure out what those payouts are.
But they're not a school that's got the ability to just go do that.
They're not going to pay him $6 million a year for 3 years. Like, if they're going to do it, they're going to try to negotiate this to 5 years or more, where they pay him out over that kind of time.
And Chris Kleiman's not getting much from his retirement. He's coming back to maybe work for the university. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. In some kind of an advisory role.
I hope he gets that R.C. Slocum job. I had lunch with R.C. one day. Me and my dad and Jim Haller had lunch with R.C. And I asked him what his job at the university was, and he said, he goes, I go in and read the newspaper and occasionally ask me to play golf with a guy.
Yeah, no, that's
that was what it was.
Earl Campbell for a while.
They had this whole big office for him and a secretary, and he would tell her most days, like, you can go home. We don't have anything.
Yeah, but thank God at least RC was there, because they needed him a couple of times when guys got fired.
But yeah, they were kind of both in the same thing, is she was nearing retirement and needed a slow down of a pace, because she had like a couple of hip replacements and all that. So they put her with him, and he was just there, waiting for the next golf outing. And then finally he told him, like, hey, you can give this office to somebody who'll use it every day. Like, he's like, I feel bad, and they told him, like, don't feel bad. I mean,
he's a like almost a look, and you can touch, right?
Yeah, it's like, part of the thank you for what you did.
Yeah,
it's a cushy gig. Just get this free money and be a figurehead for us for a while.
Yeah.
Hey, one note about Jerome Tang. We discussed this, and we're about to say goodbye for the rest of the week. And again, Brandon Rowe, Logan Begesti, Garrett Ross, and Andrew Valade. Although Andrew's watching like hockey.
Biathlon.
The Tang buyout. His first year, there was nobody basically on the roster, a couple of guys. They got some transfers, and they had that run to the Elite Eight. So what do you think Kansas State did with the original contract after the first year?
They gave him an extension.
They gave him an extension, raised it up by a few million, and then you have the big buyout that now, 3 years later, is a pain in your ass.
Yeah, we need to go, but that's the cycle that I think all these bad hirings or these bad decisions, they never are culpable for them. A lot of the times, the decision makers, now sometimes it all adds up eventually and gets you run out of town. But like, I made a grave error in extending this guy when I did. Hey, fans, I need you to go give me some more money so we can pay off this $18 million buyout because we bit off more than we could chew far too quickly. And so, or not bit off more than they could chew, but they just, But that's the market. You had to do that, because if you didn't do that, then somebody else was inevitably going to come calling and give him the same type of contract. So it's a lucrative, great business to be in. For the downsides it does have, it's one where if you have like a couple years where you're pretty good, man, you can make a lot of money.
And if they wouldn't have extended him, people would have bitched about it.
Right, exactly.
Okay, but also sometimes you do have to draw the line and go like, look, coach, we want you here. This is the best we can do. But we also, like, if you really feel you're going to make money somewhere else, you got to do that, because we can't have this go the other way on us.
They would have been skewered, though, had they not extended him. And
I get
in
it.
the end,
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
It was rocking 4 years ago.
Yep, absolutely. All right, thank you again to who I mentioned. Thanks to our sponsors. Thank you as we continue day to day with this brand new studio, 365 Sports. Brandon, could you do the wide shot as we say goodbye? For Craig Smoak and for Paul Catalina, look at those beautiful lights. I'm David Smoak. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday at 3.